Yo, happy Sunday, guys. In the sport of boxing, it is very rare to get good fights, let alone great fights. In the sport of boxing, it's also very rare where you get two undefeated fighters to fight one another, to share the same ring, right? Where everything is at stake, especially in this new era where the unblemished record means everything, right? Not even so much the resume, but as long as you're undefeated and you have a zero, it illustrates to the world that you're a winner. It's also very rare when two undefeated fighters do fight one another and there's a belt on the line, that fight exceeds expectations. For those that witnessed yesterday's amazing fight between Raymond Savage Ford, wow. Wow, that's all I have to say about that performance. What an amazing fight, man. ESPN, Savage Ford, and Otabek gave an amazing account of themselves. It was a great fight. You know, it looked very dangerous in the first opening 4 rounds for Raymond. I didn't think he was going to come out alive. In terms of, I thought he was going to get knocked out. You know, the fighter from Uzbekistan was landing an amazing straight two on that Philly show, and he was penetrating the guard. And he just looked to be a fighter that was like a Williams Zepeda, throwing a lot of punches. Nevertheless, Raymond Ford, after the 4th round, made an adjustment. He realized that he wasn't going to be superior boxer fighting from the outside. He needed to get down and dirty, rugged, in the pocket, catch and shooting, and let the combinations flow. Digging low to the body, finishing up upstairs, throwing a nice Pasha uppercut. Man, it was gorgeous. It was a beautiful performance, and the Uzbekistan fighter getting pushed back didn't really have an answer to it. I'm not saying he couldn't fight off the back foot. I'm just saying that wasn't his strength. That's not his forte. He still threw a lot of combinations, but Ray blocked a lot of the fights, a lot of the shots. And wow. Wow. Just again, in the sport of boxing, it's very rare for undefeated fighters to come and fight the way they did last night. That's what makes boxing the greatest sport in the world. That's what makes boxing, that's what gets people to talk about the boxing. That was a night to remember, and I guarantee you, Ray Ford will never forget. I will never forget it. When the year ends, this will be a fight of the year. It might just win fight of the year. It was like Julio Cesar Chavez down on the cards against Meldrick Taylor, and boom, he gets a stoppage, right? True grit, true perseverance, Raymond Savage Ford. That's the face of a true champion. That's what it looks like. He didn't quit. He didn't back up. He didn't get scared when he had a big old cut on his left side of his face off a headbutt. He got the job done. Man, salute to you, Ford. Congratulations and thank you, both of you guys, for giving such an amazing account and fight of you. Like, that was epic, man. I can't stress it enough. One of the best fights that I've seen in a really long time. In a really long time. A true fight. Up there with Tim Tszyu and Brian Mendoza for me. When all else fails, you show a different look from yourself, and you execute the game plan. You don't waver. You know, you hold on to your guns and your muscles, and you give people, man, like, I hope they make a documentary out of that night, because that was impeccable. The only sad thing about that fight is that I think Ford said that he was going to move up to 130. He called out Joe Cordina, and he called out Oshaki Foster. And I wish Raymond Ford will continue to stay at 126 after becoming a champion, because he could beat guys like Lee Wood. I think he will beat guys like Luis Venado Lopez. And I think he would become undisputed at 126. And I hope he continues to stay there rather than going up to 130 and fight Oshaki Foster and Joe Cordina. Not saying that he can't beat those guys. I know that, he's coming off a relatively long layoff. He did state that he was having issues making the weight and it wasn't an easy weight cut for him. But nevertheless, man, I wish he would stay at 126 to become undisputed. He looked amazing. That's the best that I've seen Raymond Ford. I'm not saying that he didn't have the bag of tricks under his sleeve, but I'm just saying that early on in his career, he's been battle tested. He fought guys from Fort Worth, Texas, like Eduardo Vasquez, who I thought beat him, but nevertheless, he's been fighting a lot of undefeated fighters. And he was not fast track. He just had to do the dirty work. And what I mean by that is he had to fight legit fighters that can beat you. And he overcame those obstacles. And now he's a champion of last night. You guys got to remember the name, man. Raymond Savage Ford. Incredible performance, man. I can't stress that enough. Bonafide stud. Okay. And if he were to win another belt at 130 in terms of he defeating Oshaki Foster, if he were to defeat Joe Cordina, I'm putting them up there on the pound for pound list. Dude's a beast. His skills, his power, heart of a champion, man. Fucking savage, man. Hopefully you guys watched that fight, and I hope you guys weren't watching, the charades of mimicking a fight, a boxing match in Jake Paul and Amanda Serrano. Man, the zone got to step it up, man. If you're going to be the platform of boxing and you're going to give us a plethora of fights, stop fucking around with Jake Paul and Ryan Garcia. Give us real fights that we ask, that we want. You know what I'm saying? In this fight, in this channel, it's all about being a purist and seeing the best. I got to still give it to Top Rank and ESPN. If the zone need to step it up, man. They need to step it up. I'm ready in the lobby hobby. Yo. Drew, mic check real quick, bro. How you been, man? Happy Sunday.
Yo, what's up, man? Happy Sunday, man. Yeah, man, it's been a good weekend so far. Watching all the fights last night, and yeah, man, it was dope. I enjoyed all the fights. I mean, I was zoning out in the Top Rank card because I had the zone, right. I told you the last live that I forgot to cancel my membership, so I pretty much had to fight the whole time. But I was just kind of into the Top Rank cards because I don't know why. I just forgot to change it, or totally forgot about the DAZN channel. And then I kind of go on social media and I see like this fight against Pitufo. Uh, what's his name? Fuck, what's his last name? It's Pitufo. Anyways, that his opponent just looked horrible, bro. Just looked like he didn't even belong in the ring with him. Um, it was a horrible fight, and I'm kind of glad I didn't tune into that because Top Rank was just it was amusing, man. It was really good. I watched it from the bottom to the top, bro. Just every single fight.
Yeah. Great
Yeah, it
undercard.
was
You had
yeah,
Troy
great
Oshie.
undercard. Yeah.
Man, you had Boca Chica versus Brian Norman. I told you Boca
Oh,
Chica was gonna beat him, bro.
you told that, dude. Oh,
I
fuck.
told you, Danielson
You
Boca Chica,
said
bro. When I seen
you
him
said
fight the
it.
Argentinian out of Huerta
You
on
s-
Pro Box, I was like,
yeah,
this dude with the straight punches and his arm reach, he's going to beat Brian Norman. I didn't watch the
bro.
fight. I only heard about it. People were telling me about it. How
Damn.
Boca Chica drops Brian Norman in the first round. I also
Yes.
heard that, there was a nasty a clash of heads or something, or an
Yeah.
elbow that, both dudes were bleeding and the
Yep.
fight became no contest. But, bro,
Yeah.
dude.
You said it, dude. I was trying to remember when it happened, when the knockdown happened. I was like, "Who said it? Who said it?" And then I was like, "Rick said that shit." I remember that, like, and then I was just betting, bro. Honestly, I didn't bet on that fight. I never trusted Brian Norman, um, just
Well,
from
we saw
seeing him
him
in,
live.
huh?
We saw him live.
Yeah, we saw him live, and he just didn't look impressive, And I was like, man, he looks in shape and all this, but it's just, man, where's that dog in you, man? Like, he looks like a beast, but he just
No, I'll
struggles.
say this. He has the dog in him. Like he's gonna come forward and throw a bunch of punches. But the problem is the the biggest problem for him is that he doesn't have another game plan besides that. You
Yeah,
see? And that's a quick way to get knocked out. That's a quick way to get beat. And he just comes forward with a high guard, but you can still penetrate the high guard just
yeah,
down the middle. And he's very stiff. He's not he needs to be more cognizant of not only being defensively responsible and not just your hands up, but he needs to, bend at the waist. He needs to roll.
mm,
He needs to learn how to counter. It's not always about coming forward. He just has one look. And for a guy
hmm
who's like 25-0 with 23 KOs, I'm like, bro, who you really beating? You know,
Yeah.
I thought in his last fight, I thought it was a draw. I thought his
Mhm.
father, who's also a professional boxer, wasn't giving him the proper instructions, and
Yeah.
and I don't want to be hard on them because this is tough. This is tough sport. But I'm like, damn, bro, you really need to evolve. Like, it's one of those situations where it's like you're beating a lot of nobody just to booster up that name. It's similar with Jerome Boots Ennis. Boots, you look
Mhm.
to be the goods, right? But who you really beating? Like you're like
Yeah.
almost 40-0, and like who you fought, you know?
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's crazy, man. I didn't bet on that, but I'm like he's good though. Like he's in shape. Is just doesn't have too much tools in the tool bag. He doesn't
yeah,
have too much setting up. He doesn't do really much. To make his opponent respect him. Because Boca Chica was there, bro. He's game. And you called it, bro. I just didn't know too much about Boca Chica up until the fight. I seen the them building up the fight before the entrance, and I seen some highlights, and I was like, fuck, he looks good, And I was like, fuck, like this could happen, and then it happened, bro. Honestly, I was building some shit right here. Like I'm building like little miniature cars and shit. But like
yeah, yeah,
I was building that while I was watching the fight. And then I heard, oh, knockout, knockdown. And I was like, oh, I was like, damn it. I should have bet. But I avoided it. And yeah, it was a great fight. Um, I know before that there was some guy, I'm sorry to change up the fights, but uh this other fight, heavyweight fight, Brandon Moore, I think. They call him Black Mexican. And he was up against this veteran. And pretty much I had that guy to go to the decision because I just know he wasn't there. Like he just doesn't have too much pop. He's good. He's been like in the amateur cycle, and that's the one I was telling you guys about, thinking I was like knowing I was talking about. But I mean, I needed to see more tape of him, but he just doesn't have too much pop. And yeah, that one went decision. I made $100 on that just cause I was like, hell yeah, But I fucking knew that was gonna happen, and then that was the first fight. After that, I think it was a Boca Chica fight, and and then right after that was, I think, I might be wrong, but Troy Isley. Troy Isley. Um, he fought some dude named Marcos Hernandez, or
yeah,
yeah, from Fresno, and yeah, that dude from Fresno, I knew about because what's the name? Anthony Darrell knocked him out, and honestly, I thought this one was gonna go to the decision, and I had that in a parlay that kind of killed it for me. But yeah, no, I had him going to the decision just because he got knocked out at 168, and I didn't think Troy Eiley was coming like that, and I heard in the before the fight he was really gonna try to pull this knockout.
yeah.
I didn't think he had it in him. I didn't think he had it in him, and he just clipped him real good, bro. And Marcos Hernandez was there in front of him to get hit. It's just and he was taking his punches really well, and if anything, the ref kind of stopped it early, and I think he would have made it the whole fight. So yeah, that was one where I feel like the ref gave that one to Troy Isley. Did you hear about that one?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
like Troy Isley. He fought this Mexican guy as well named Vladimir Hernandez, who was the guy that beat
Mm.
that one
Yep.
undefeated fighter from Baltimore. His name is
Jerome.
running through my name, but
Jerome
yeah,
Simpson.
yeah, that's right, Truck.
Yep.
And yeah, when I knew Troy Isley fought him, I was like, man, this is gonna be a good fight. And Troy Isley showed that he's durable, very creative, can take a punch, can fight. He's a little dirty and nasty, what you need to do in the sport of boxing when you fight tough Mexicans like that throw a bunch of punches. And I knew that he was gonna, I won't say make it light work, but I knew Marcos Hernandez wasn't really gonna be able to beat him because of that. Vladimir
Mhm.
Hernandez, he might have like 17 wins with like 6 losses, but those losses are tough and close competitive losses.
Mhm.
And, he's one of those gritty warriors that maybe in a different world that he had the right promotional company, he can take a couple of those losses and turn them into wins. And his record might be looking like 24-2 instead of 17-6 or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But yeah, Troy Isley's solid, bro. Though top rank, they know how to build them. They know how to properly match make them. Not for easy sounding fights. No, like they know how to weed out the weeds, so to speak, and pull out the weeds,
Yeah.
the ones that aren't going to make the cut.
Mm-hmm.
And ESPN is great at that. Top Rank understands that. And then once you don't look the part, boom, they're not afraid to let you go, like they
Yeah.
did with the kid up north, Gabe Flores. And even
Mm-hmm.
then, Gabe Flores was relatively young, fighting real killers like Venado Lopez and Abraham Montoya, and these dudes are
Mm-hmm.
not easy work. So, maybe he couldn't cut it at the age of 19 or 20 years old, but let, Gabe Flores get to 24, 25 years old. Maybe we become, maybe he's a late bloomer, so to speak, and he fills into his man strength, but let alone he's fighting real men. And, sometimes you got to slow roll on these young kids that just win the
Yeah.
Pan American Games. But on that note, man, not to deviate a little bit and talking about bets and parlays, we'll get to that later. But
All right.
when you think about Raymond Savage Ford and yesterday's fights against Otabek.
Bro, Raymond is that dude, bro. Like if anybody can, if there's a dude that can beat everybody in that division, it's him, bro. Like he's got it all, bro. Like he does lack some things. It's just his. You can see his amateur pedigree, bro. It's off. Like it's up there, bro. Like this dude. I'm trying to pull it up right now because I was looking at it earlier, and he got some names on him, bro. Like he actually lost to Mark Castro like 3 times, and he also lost to Keyshawn Davis. But he's got some. He beat Duke Reagan, which a dude like Ruben couldn't beat. And I mean, no, this guy's like a national Golden Glove champ, bro. Like he's fucking good, bro. Like honestly, I was hearing all the commotion about this dude. You were telling me it was gonna go to the decision. I was just looking at a piece of paper, really, and saying it was gonna go to the decision. I wasn't expecting him to have such heart, um, because that's what pretty much he displayed there, bro. Like he got clipped so hard, and dude, this guy got a chin. He has a fucking chin. So that's what's gonna carry through a lot of his fights. He is talking about moving up in weight, and I'm like, no, like stay there. Like you have a style to beat all these guys.
Yeah,
He's got it all, bro. Like I think he should stay in that division, and that's why I'm like, I think he can like beat a dude like Ruben. To be honest, and he can beat a dude like Inoue. Like honestly, because honestly, he's just got it all, bro. Like with his coaches, the way his coaches are with him, he like listens, bro. Like he really does listen. I know he was talking back, saying he was saying something like, "Oh, I have to do this, I have to do that." Like, so he does kind of know what he knows himself really well, to where he kind of can go off the game plan and do things that benefit him because he's confident in himself. And dude, he was down. He was down on some cards, but he also made it hard for the judges to really give Otterbeck a full clear round. I know Otterbeck won some rounds for sure. He did get him on some hard shots. It's just, he was just at towards the end of the rounds, bro. Those are championship rounds, and that's
yeah,
when fucking Raymond Ford came up. And you see his pedigree, and he was truly impressive, bro. That was the fight of the year. I'm gonna pull it up right now and watch it again. Um, yeah,
yeah, absolutely,
yes,
man. No,
ESPN Plus.
I agree. I would
Yeah.
say that I would hope that Raymond Ford stays there, dude. I'm not too sure if he's the regular WBA champ or the super champ. I think Brandon Figueroa has the WBC. I think Lee Wood has the WBA. Luis Alberto Lopez has the IBF, right? He knocked out the Japanese fighter Abe Raya. And then I believe Rafael Espinoza, who upset Robeisy Ramirez, has the WBO. So Raymond Ford has the WBA regular, I believe. I could be wrong. I don't know when Lee Wood beat, Bronco Lara, if that became the super champ. The WBA has that weird situation where they have two, I don't know, man. Two belts on the same division. It's very strange, and it kind of downplays like the super
I-
champ doesn't have to fight the mandatories. The regular has to fight the mandatories, and the super champ
yeah,
never has to face mandatories. It's one of those belts that they created for that champion
it
to,
is.
move around, not move around the weight classes, but move and play with other sanctioning bodies if he's looking to unify. So it's very strange, but nevertheless, yeah, man. Look, Ford will have a hard fight with Luis Alberto Lopez because El Venado is just a very tough fighter. But Ford would beat him, bro. And Ford would probably knock out
Yeah.
Lopez. He's got the punch
Mm.
creativity, he's got the speed, the counter punching ability, and the power to hurt
Hmm.
Lopez, right? That dude
Yeah.
that he fought, Otabek, he's one of the craftier, if not probably the best fighter at 126. Like I would see him beating Lopez. If
Hmm.
Ruben Dia, who no disrespect, doesn't really have power, if he was able to outbox and beat Lopez, Otabek would have not only does he have power, he's got size and height and arm length and boxing IQ, but he would piece apart Lopez. He would also beat Rafael Espinoza because these guys
Yep.
have more, durability than Robeisy Ramirez.
Yeah.
He's
I was saying that earlier.
years old. Brandon Figueroa is a scrappy dude, but he's very sloppy and he smothers his own work. Ray Ford would beat all these dudes, bro. And it
Yep.
only saddens me that he's gonna just move up to 130
I know.
and fight like Washaki Foster and Cordina. But I'm like, damn, bro, just stay there and become undisputed.
Yep.
And
I agree.
that's the only sad thing about that. But yeah, I agree with everything that you said, man. That dude, Ford, is amazing, man. He's, I wasn't a believer. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying that he didn't have the skill set. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that I
Same.
needed to see it more. And I like guys like Eduardo Vasquez, especially like his temperament and his craftiness, and how he's able to do tactical retreats and still slip going backwards. Everybody slips trying to come forward and cut off the ring, right? But he slips and rolls shots on the back foot. Eduardo Vasquez, that is, from Fort Worth, Texas. And if you guys been paying attention to Vasquez, he gave Ray Ford a really tough fight, and I also thought he beat Ford, and also thought he beat Joe Cordina. Again, it's just politics, right? Playing the connected fighter are in really good competitive bouts. They tend to favor the house fighter more often than not against guys that are up and comers. But nevertheless, man, shout out to Raymond Ford for taking off these tough fights that no one's really gonna know or give you a lot of incredible credit. They're not popular names, but they're the fights that you need to really build a legacy. You
Hmm.
see, when guys like Ryan take on tough fights like Tank Davis and Devin Haney without really beating the best or building a proper resume, you know, when you finally fight these dudes that are doing so, you get pieced apart and you look borderline mediocre, if not
Hmm.
horrible, because you aren't taking tough fights, right? When you do take a tough fight like Luke Campbell and you get met with some resistance, but you come back and get the knockout, those are fights that build character. Those are fights that build the heart of a champion. You need to take more fights like that, right? When you
Hmm.
are dismissive and you don't respect the sport, when you just try to hustle and use it as an exploit to maximize gains, when you finally do take on a legacy establishing fight like a Tank or a Devin Haney, you're going to come up short, Ryan, because you're not doing the proper steps that is needed to really test yourself, to know that you are formidable and you become a champion, right? I'm watching this interview on 210 Boxing TV, right? And he's interviewing Robert Garcia. Never heard of this channel, just came up on my feed. And, he's talking about how fighters like Ryan Garcia that he's seen spar and they leave sparring and they cry, right? After a tough sparring or probably another fighter getting the best of them. He also talked about how it happened to him and Fernando Vargas, where you do cry, where they cried when they were younger as well. And then we're talking about like when people, release footage. They were talking about the situation when Ryan released the footage where Tank is putting hands on Devin and things of that nature. And it was a really interesting interview. And have you had a chance to see that?
No, I haven't. Yeah. I haven't seen that. What? Sorry, I kind of zoned out. But yeah, the
Alrighty,
interview
so
about
the
who?
channel is called 210 Boxing TV. It's a 90
Mm.
minute interview, and the title of the video is called Robert Garcia Reacts to Gervonta Davis versus Devin Haney Sparring. I
Oh
would
no.
pick Haney in a real fight, is what Robert says. And in that
Mm.
video, just to summarize it a little bit,
Mm.
they're talking about sparring. They're talking about how sometimes amateurs get the best out of professional fighters. He kind of talks about how he has cameras on his gym, but never does he ever release footage or leak footage or puts on a title of a video where amateur gets the best out of a pro fighter. He goes on to state that he goes on to state that, look, guys, sparring is sparring. It's 3-minute fights. And I've seen many times where an amateur gets the best out of a pro fighter, but those are 3 rounds, 3 minutes. It's not representative of a championship fight. So sparring really doesn't mean anything. It's basically what Robert Garcia is saying. And I'm thinking to myself, well then, Robert, if that sparring footage doesn't mean anything, then why do people don't release footage more often? Again, sparring is sparring, and the true people that know sparring knows that a lot of professional fighters get dropped by body shots. We've seen leaked footage of Teofimo get dropped by multiple nobodies, right? Everybody gets a cracked rib or gets a busted nose or bleeds from time to time. We've seen footage of guys that are getting the best out of Tank. But again, at the end of the day, like you said, it's sparring. So release it. Ain't nobody tripping. You can beat me for 3 minutes, 3 rounds with headgear and big gloves. But when the lights are at the biggest stage, the lights are on, 10,000 fans are screaming, small ass gloves, no headgear, it's a complete different fight. Right? So again, Robert, it's very interesting how you go, sparring doesn't mean anything, but it's downright disrespectful to release it. It doesn't add up. Why is it disrespectful to release it when sparring is not representative of what's going to happen of a real fight with smaller gloves, right? We've heard the tales that David Benavidez gets the best out of Triple G, Beterbiev, and Bivol. Well, if that's the case, then how come he didn't fight him? And if he were to fight him small and when the kid gloves are off, you think David's going to get the best out of him just because he got the best out of him for 9 minutes of sparring? No.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then there's the weight cut, and then there's the bright lights, and then you have to be
Yep.
mentally sharp. So, like, I feel like when people say it's downright disrespectful, I think you're an absolutely fool, and you're not really utilizing the market for what it could be because there's this gentleman's agreement to not leak footage. Well, then don't leak it. Just tell the parties involved, hey guys, you know what? We're going to show the footage. We're not going to cut up into pieces and give out an agenda. We're going to release the full footage, X, Y, and Z, and everyone can make their own assessment of the whole picture, not just a 1 minute, 2 minute chopped up video where it just shows a one-sided beatdown,
Right.
But anyway, I would say that I would recommend watching that interview. It's pretty interesting. But I would say that the best video to watch right now is when the boxing voice Ness is interviewing David Benavidez for like 17 minutes straight. There's a lot of good information there, and it's very interesting. But man, I just want to give a lot of credit for Raymond Ford, man. That was an amazing fight. I knew the kid had good hand speed and he got popped, but I needed to see this fight to see and become a true believer. Now I am. I was skeptical. I knew he had the tools. I just hadn't seen it in any of his fights. You can say that he's underperformed. And last night, all the questions that I had were answered and some. So shout out to him, man. Extremely happy for him. I did make a couple of parlays and some bets. So I'm also happy on that end. But also, let me ask you this, man. Going back to the Jainelson Figueroa Boca Chica versus Brian Norman Jr. In terms of a betting, because I have like a little small bet, $15, but it's a 7-fight parlay where I have Bivol beating Beterbiev, Alexander Usyk beating Fury, Jai Opetaia beating Brady's, Raymond Ford beating Otabek, Boca Chica beating Norman Jr., Joseph Parker beating Zhang, and then Venado Lopez getting the knockout. So 3 of those happened last night, but Jainelson, because it became a no contest, does that bet still continue on or does it end?
It ends, bro.
Parlay? Do you know?
It does end. It does end because it falls under disqualification or KO.
Right, but there is no disqualification tab.
Wait, what'd you bet for?
Brian Jainelson to beat just overall beat Brian Norman, and there's been a time where there's been a draw, and I was a winner, and there was no winner and a loser, and it became a draw. That they wrote a little parentheses box. They just said pass. So it's almost like they don't take it into consideration of the continuum of the parlay, but they continue the bet because they haven't canceled it and stated that I lost. It just says like it's still, usually when you lose a parlay and one of the games you get wrong, it's boom,
Yeah, no, I think you're good. I think you got the pass, and you should still be able to get that. I think one of your I don't think Zhang's gonna lose to Joe Joyce again. Or
To
who is he gonna
Parker.
fight?
Parker.
Oh, Parker. Oof, oof. Could be. You never know. You never know. That's a good
Well,
fight.
the reason is I'm gonna say this is Parker has boxing skills and he actually backs up. You see, Joe Joyce is always coming forward, and a counter puncher in a 40-year-old in Zhang, who's really big, like 6'9", weighs like over 300 pounds. He's got a lot of power and strength, and he's got amazing punch technique, but it's the same repetitive punches.
Right.
You see, and it's easy to pick up a juggernaut coming forward and just eating up all these shots. Joseph Parker, and he showed you in the Wilder fight, he can box. He's got good footwork, and he's not there to take punishment. You see,
Right.
you're gonna have to really earn your keep. Now you can be like, well, Joe Joyce beat Joseph Parker. You're right, he did. He mauled them. Problem in that fight was Parker was doing well, except he got overwhelmed. Zhang, being 40 something years old, is not going to have that stamina. You know, does he hit harder than Parker? Yeah. But guess what? You have to be in position to get hit. Joseph is he's sturdy, man. And I think he has the better footwork. Then Zhang, I think he'd be able to beat him. But if he stands
Yeah.
there and he gets hit with I mean, this is the heavyweight division, and Zhang, Big Bang Zhang, has the heavyweight power. Look, man, let me
Hmm.
read a couple of the comments before I introduce Speed. The Mexican G has been going on and saying, I'm not going to read all of them, but salute to you and happy Sunday. But he's basically comparing like how you can't put Ryan Garcia in the same, conversation as Paul. One's a real fighter, one hasn't done this, X, Y, and Z, right? And it goes like this, man. The reality is, I don't look at Jake Paul as a real fighter. He's a guy that's learning on the job. That's obvious. He doesn't have an extensive amateur record, if any. He doesn't have a lot of professional fights, so it's very unfair to put him up against real fighters like Ryan Garcia that are 15-time national champions. I will say this though:
Hungry boy.
Ryan Garcia is also not building himself a he's not building himself a proper boxing career. He has a resume, right? But it's evident that he's holding himself to his word that he wants to retire at the age of 27 years old. With that being said, salute to him, Ryan, for fighting Tank Davis and Devin Haney. And if he goes on to fight guys like Teofimo Lopez, because he has that marquee ability where he's not necessarily, the great fighter. He's a polarizing fighter, but he brings something to the table that credible fighters, legacy fighters like Devin, like Teofimo Lopez, like Jose Ramirez can do. And is that bring in that normal casual fan base to sell a lot of tickets. Because Ryan
Okay.
has that influence in that pool, he's always going to have himself in position to get these big fights and sell because he's able, like to Jake Paul, will garnish the casual people's attention and bring in a legacy fighters, whether it's Nate Diaz or a Tyron Woodley, and bring in both appeals of people that have credibility alongside with their YouTube and their social media fan base, merge them together and give us great events. So the way I
Whoa.
look at Jake Paul and Ryan are fighters or competitors that can do both in both worlds. They're always going to come up short because they're not the most professional fighters, but you don't need to be because it's an event rather than like a legacy fight. You know what I mean?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Homie Ricky. Are you trying to say that Ryan Garcia, the subtext of what you're saying, are you trying to say that Ryan Garcia is is doing these guys a favor by making them stars to introduce them to the casual world at large?
Yeah,
You're
that's
making it seem
exactly
like
what Ryan Garcia is
You're
doing.
making it seem like Ryan Garcia is passing a torch he never held. It's the Mexican G and I, we've been going back and forth. And actually, before we go on, good even fall to you. Well, actually, good morning to you, the Mexican G. Good morning to you, Drew, and of course to you, the homie Ricky. Thank you very much for allowing me to hop on this your live. Always a pleasure chatting with you, gentlemen, especially after the kind of weekend that we just had of boxing this past Saturday. Incredible, incredible display of pugilism from all the fighters at 126. Incredible performances by each and every one, even though there was losers. In fact, some of them ended up being devastated. They were still excellent and what they were doing, not only in their fighting spirit, but also in the outcomes of their fights. And we'll talk about all of those things right now, homie Ricky and Drew. But I do find it funny, right? That that we have to, for some extent, compare Ryan Garcia and Jake Paul because they're not that dissimilar from each other in their careers at this moment, right? We do have a historic influencer in Jake Paul. We do have a historic influencer in Ryan Garcia. The only thing is this: Ryan Garcia has actually put in the road work, has actually gone through the trials and tribulations of climbing up the ranks and developing the fame as a fighter in the sport of boxing, whereas Jake Paul hasn't. But what I was trying to go back and forth about the differences between these gentlemen and what they actually mean in the sport of boxing at this moment is that I do think Jake Paul is doing much better for the sport of boxing than Ryan Garcia. Now, what you just presented, of course, is a great counter argument, which is basically Ryan Garcia has the power to introduce the casual world of boxing to some of the great fighters that are probably overlooked because they don't have that name recognition, they don't have the pull, they don't have the influence that Ryan Garcia does. And I think that's a very great point, by the way. But he's also able to fight those fights not because he deserves to fight those fights, right? He's there solely because he can sell money for them and for himself, obviously. But in doing so, all it takes is just one small step away from that, just a step back, and then even the casual fans will understand what's going on. He's cutting in the line to take on champions when he does not deserve to. And now all that does is continue to bring on this blight, this look of corruptibility for the sport of boxing, which has already been tarnished historically. So as much as Ryan Garcia does good for the sport, he also leads by example and how corruptible it is. Like, for example, we all know that Ryan Garcia does not deserve a shot at Devin Haney. And I don't even know why.
Before we get to Ryan Garcia, man, this video ain't about Ryan. It's about Raymond Savage Ford.
Oh, okay. Let's go there.
Come on.
All right. So,
man,
I want you to look. I want you to look at the icon that I'm using. Do you guys know who that gentleman is right there?
Yeah, that's the guy that Venado Lopez knocked out.
It's not a guy. He's not just a guy. His name is Raya Abe. And you know what Raya Abe showed? He showed last night that even when you're being completely destroyed and devastated, if you have the moxie, the heart to continue fighting, if you believe in your puncher's chance, if you have the heart of a fighter, you'll never surrender. And that guy, he could have had this fight stopped much earlier, maybe in the second round, when I think it wasn't his orbital, but I believe his cheekbone may have been caved in, right? I believe he did suffer an orbital injury, but his cheekbone on his right side may have been caved in since even the first round against the tough and super unorthodox Mexican champion Luis Alberto Lopez El Venado. But what happened every time that he kept being called over to the corner from the ref and the medical professionals trying to see whether or not he can continue to fight, what did he do? He continued after he was given the chance to fight again. He continued to figure out a way how to adapt for the punishment that was coming his way. He made adjustments. He started getting better as the fight progressed. He did not have quit in him. And even though both of his eyeballs were starting to close by the end of the fight, in fact, at the moment that the fight was stopped, he was actually getting a couple of rounds in, likely winning them, because all he did was invest a little movement to his right, and then he starts just throwing combinations. And what happens to the pressure fighter that doesn't throw a jab? What happens with the pressure fighter that's now been exhausted from throwing all those looping threes and fours? What happens? He starts taking a step back. He starts getting a little tired. He starts getting overwhelmed by the barrage of punches coming his way. And that's when the Japanese fighter, as broken as he was by that moment, he was gaining some traction. And then, and then, and one of the most spectacular experiences in boxing that I've ever seen in the past years, a few people start chanting El Venado's name. El Venado, El Venado. And he stops in the middle of the ring. He raises his hands like, bring it, give him more. And people start getting louder and louder. And
Bro, that
then
was his
he goes on a
family.
flurry. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who he
I'm just
was.
kidding.
If
I'm
you're
just
not
kidding.
doing it for your family, what are you doing it for? And
Yeah.
all it takes is that to spirit him up. And even though the Japanese fighter is coming back with a vengeance, this guy starts throwing a 20 punch flurry. Lands maybe four of them. And that's enough for the ref to wave it off. The Japanese fighter is indefensible. He's shelled up. He's walking back. And the ref says, you know what? I gave you 9 rounds from the 8 rounds from the moment that I warned you that you were injured to continue on fighting. And I think this is the moment we end it. It was an incredible display of pugilism and violence at the hands of the Mexican fighter, but incredible heart, incredible moxie, the will to continue on fighting to see the next day. And Abe, I made him my icon because those kind of fighters, the guys who never quit, deserve not only our respect, our admiration. Because I tell you the truth, any other fighter would have quit. Ryan Garcia would have quit at the second round.
Yeah, I
Ryan
agree. He
Garcia.
showed
Bro.
amazing ability to never quit. Like, Japanese fighters, like I said, they have an amazing culture, and in terms of like their warrior code and their honor, they live by it, and they've done a great job, especially the fighters that are privy to getting the attention, like Naoya, like Junto Nakatani and others. They're proven, man. They have a great schooling system over there, and then only the tough survive, so to speak. And they've done a great job just of crossing over and building an audience. I will say this, man. Shout out to him. They gave a great account of themselves, Venado and Raya. But same thing you can say the same thing with Ford when he was getting beat for those 4 opening rounds,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I asked you to talk about Ford, but you wanted to talk about Raya. And, Ford showed that resiliency, the true grit. He got rocked and he held on and he still kept going. He got a headbutt. The ref acknowledged it like a minute, 30 seconds later. And he still came out in this 12th round where, like you said, he was down 2 out of the 3 judges' scorecards where he needed a knockout or a few knockdowns in the championship round or else they were going to lose. He was going to lose. And he pulled out a comeback from behind. Wow.
Yeah, no, he came up in the championship rounds, bro. That's really what won him the fight was the later rounds in the fight, which is really a trait that champions have, you're able to come back in the later rounds and with the big bright lights, and everyone shouting out your name and everyone shouting out his name, like that's what defines a champion right there, So he won that shit, but it was a close fight, and like no one's really talking about it being a very what am I trying to call it, like a close fight, like it was a close fight, but it couldn't have gone to either fighter because Raymond Ford pretty much let us know that that he won the fight, but that later stoppage, bro, like the last 10 seconds, it ruined a lot of parlays. Sorry to get
Yeah,
into
yeah.
that. Sorry to get into that, but it would have. But honestly, that would have left the door open for the judges to at least one of the judges to give it to Odebek.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, see, here's the thing. We're talking about and we're talking about Raymond Ford as if Otabek Kolmatov was not in the fight. In fact, I don't know if you recall this,
No,
true,
I
but
just
you're
want to bring
saying
back
that
my point.
you're saying that
No one said that.
no, but what
No
Drew
one
is
said that.
insinuating What Drew is
No.
insinuating is that
No one said that.
Ford was the only one who tried to do everything to take it the championship rounds. In fact, I want you gentlemen to recall that the one who came out there exposing himself to harm in order to win, and that's the reason why he got hurt, was in fact Kolmatov. On the 11th round, he just basically starts walking forward with his hands held up, chasing after Ford because he's not willing to leave it out there for the judges to call it. He's walking forward to destroy him, and he's actually taking quite a few punishing blows as a result of his forward aggression. This is a fighter that's coming to kill Raymond Ford. He's coming to become a champion. We're not talking about Raymond Ford just moseying on in at the last championship rounds and just blowing through him. In fact, I gave the 11th round to the man from Uzbekistan.
Yeah,
It
because
was
that's when the cut happened. That's when the headbutt happened. He started.
no, no, no.
walking-
The
I think
headbutt happened much sooner. It happened
okay,
on
it
the
might have
like
happened
in
like
the
in
eighth
the
round.
10th. He might have happened like in the 10th or so. I don't really remember when the headbutt started, but he started bouncing on it extremely hard. You know what I mean? Just throwing a bunch of punches, and Raymond Ford didn't buckle. And then after that, I want to say the 11th. You know, the guy just threw. He didn't even throw that many punches. He just started actually retreating and boxing from the outside. You know, and Raymond had a hard time cutting off the ring. Come the 12th final round, Ford had a lot of great moments, and then he was able to put the show away. It's not like he didn't have to make it an amazing fight. No, he had to. The fight was extremely close. And when
Yep.
they acknowledged that that punch that made the cut was a headbutt, it was due to a headbutt. That's when he came out and tried to blitz Ford. And Ford did
Yeah.
not cower or waver or turn his back and be like, "Yo, ref, what the fuck? You ducked the
Mhm.
point." No,
Yeah.
she just went on. You know, he had to deal with it. He had to understand that, boom, this is a cut, but it hurts, it stings. But guess what? If you want to become a champion, this is the adversity that you're gonna have to go through. So, I'm not trying to say nothing for Odebeck or whatever the case may be, but he made it this type of rugged fight, and he just didn't know how to fight off the back foot.
Yeah, and those headbutts were freaking killing Raymond Ford, bro. Like headbutts, it hurts. It stings. It's different than getting clipped by a left hook. I feel like left when you're getting punched and your adrenaline is up, you kind of don't feel pain. But when you get headbutted, that when those moments kind of give you a little like you feel some kind of sharp pain. And it's really hard to go pull a poker face when you're in that much pain. But that's what he did, bro. Like he didn't cower away and he maintained his position and didn't let Odorbek really get off on him, even though he was in pain. Like he didn't show it, but we know that shit hurt. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Um,
No, that's true.
absolutely. It definitely.
Absolutely.
It's fucking
Yeah,
bone
no,
on bone,
no, I'm
dude.
not
Bone
trying.
on
Look, I'm not
bone.
trying to discredit Raymond Ford. Here, what I'm trying to do, right? What I'm trying to bring up with these things is
Seems
that
like you keep giving everybody
Kolmatov,
credit but Ford.
Kolmatov, he was also fighting with the torn ACL since the third round. I don't think you guys are considering these things.
How do
You
you
guys
know
are talking about how you guys are talking about a cut below the eyeball, right, the cheekbone, and another guy is walking around enduring pain with a torn ACL, and you guys don't credit that. I mean, do you understand how tough it must be for a fighter with a weakened leg as a crutch, having to figure out how to find some skip in a step to endure 12 rounds and still walk forward to that guy to try and win him? I mean, this, I'm not trying to discredit anybody. I'm just trying to say when we just focus on the greatness that Raymond Savage Ford performed and displayed last night, you are in you are denigrating the incredible performance and output of the man from Uzbekistan. He fought with a busted leg. He won a lot of rounds. He hurt Raymond Ford in the second. In the first 4 rounds they were very hard fought. Maybe all of them went to the man from Uzbekistan.
I
Very
thought so.
close fights. Okay, yeah, yeah. But every single round after that was a hard fought round, right? And I think I would have given it to the man from Uzbekistan by 1 round at the start of the 12th. I did believe that anybody had to make the last round definitive, and especially if they could end it by knockout. Because if you're traveling like Raymond Ford was, he's from America. The one was traveling was Kolmatov, but nonetheless, Kolmatov was the home fighter or the promoted fighter for Top Rank. They wanted that bout to be there because why? Almost every other champion, it's going to be easier to make fights with right there because they have a few of them over there at a top rank with El Venado Lopez. They could have made that Kolmatov unification. That would have been an incredible fight had the man from Uzbekistan beaten Ford. But it was a heck of a fight. I don't want it to just be about Raymond Ford because he is getting a shine, but nobody is mentioning the
Yeah.
man from Uzbekistan and what he endured. And here's the thing, gentlemen. Eddie Hearn almost blew that bag. Why? Because he left Raymond Ford inactive for almost a whole year, 11 months inactivity. Is really one of the reasons why Raymond Ford had one of the hardest uh, weight cuts to make it to 126 to become a champion. This is the reason why he's moving up to 130, not because he's outgrowing the weight. You're easily gonna grow the weight if you have nothing to fight for a whole year.
Yeah, but the problem is guys pack a punch more, and besides that, he's doing his thing in this division. I mean, for me,
Hmm.
I want him to stay
Yep,
solely because like he beats everyone in my opinion in that
I don't think so.
division. I just feel that way, right? And I just feel like Raymond Ford um should be building a legacy, bro. Like he has the tools to really move up, but he's just kind of speeding up the process and not allowing himself to learn uh,
Hmm.
some lessons. Not
Hmm.
like he's gonna learn lessons, but he's gonna get the dub. I think this fight was one of those fights that where he can look back and say, "Damn, like that fight." That fighter gave me real pressure. Like that shit was real pressure.
Yep.
Like the next time I feel anything close to that type of pressure, I'm gonna be ready. And I know Odebek, uh, he can beat some dudes up there too. At 130 because he packs a punch, and he calculates his shit. It's just like I want Raymond Ford just to stay down where he's at.
Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
fight, this is the thing. Raymond Ford, this fight didn't end in a controversy. There's a reason why no one's calling for like a no contest or anything like that, and it's because that last round. I'm thinking about it. Like I think that last round really won him that fight. You know,
Yeah.
that very last round, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, it's not 13 round fight. It's not a 14 round fight. 15, nothing. It's a 12 round fight. Best, pretty much 7 out of 12, I think. Yeah, best 7 out of 12 wins it. Pretty much.
Let me ask you something, because one of the things that I've been going back and forth on, and somebody called me they called me like a knob something. They called me some kind of a name,
A
right?
slob
Good,
knocker.
good, 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 good.
No, no, no.
Hold on,
I
hold
just
on.
want to know: was there any semblance of a premature stoppage? I'm just going to throw it out there. Did
No,
that
he
could
turned
that have
his
could
back.
that have could they have allowed the guy to end the fight the last 7 seconds remaining? Yes or no?
He turned his back.
Yeah,
He turned his back. If a
because he was
fighter
injured.
turns his back, right,
Because his
Ford
leg was
can
injured.
pounce on him and
That's on
smack
him.
him and sleep him. Why are you gonna stop it and give him a 10 count and let him get his bearings back? No, you let Ford finish it. Absolutely not, dude. That's a good stoppage. Raymond Ford would have slept Komatov as he turned his back. That's proper. He
Yeah.
was galloping. And here I want to go to another point because
Go ahead.
I'm trying to find where the reports are where he tore his ACL. Where did that come from?
I sent it to
From
you.
ESPN.
Yeah.
They said it themselves, the announcers, and he was rushed to the hospital soon after.
And soon after, wasn't I saw when they were interviewing
He's
Ford. Hold on. When they interviewed Ford, the post fight, in the ring, when he was crying, they cut to Otabek, and Otabek was taking off his shoes in the locker room.
yeah, waiting for the ambulance to arrive.
Otabek ACO ESPN tear. I don't even see nothing on Google. What do I have to
I
type?
think I think I think you're talking about the about Venado's opponent.
No,
Speed?
no,
No.
because I was watching the fight after the fight ended. See, what a lot of these reporters do, right? The ones that are pundits for all these boxing venues, what they
Let me
do is
see.
that they have to beat everybody to the punch. So they start writing up these reports and to release them as soon as possible. They don't stay past the interview moments to make it. That's why you get the post-fight commentary after everybody reports who won, right? But if you stay long enough, I think it was what's that gentleman's name, homie, the uh, the guy that loves sports and he gets always emotional. He's the white guy, not
Mark
not
Primo?
Bradley. Yeah, he's the one who said it. He's the one who
Okay, hold
said it.
on.
And
Mark.
but look, I'm not trying to discredit Raymond Ford. I'm just trying to say if you know
No.
what
Tim
Kolmatov endured, then you give him his respect.
Tim Bradley.
Okay,
Tim
because
Bradley.
I know
Tim.
people that tore an ACL. In fact, we just saw a football player from the Niners who just was on the sideline and he took a step and his leg or his Achilles buckled. Okay,
Uh-huh.
and he just fell down to the ground. You mean to tell
Let
me
me
this
add.
dude tore his ACL and
What
he
other kinds
continued
of
to
No.
run?
muscles are there in the
No,
legs?
that's
What other
not
kind of
what
muscle?
happened.
Okay,
Hold on.
maybe look. I don't know about muscles, but what other muscles are there that are
Well,
like
you sure love to
CLs?
comment on it.
Is it
Hey,
ACLs,
look.
HCLs? What is it?
Let me help you out, Speed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm gonna name it and then I'm gonna keep going. ACL, MCL, UCL, all that shit is like all three of them. But anyways,
Nah,
like
I don't think it was
during the
MCL.
fight,
Hmm.
there
You
is
heard it right,
MCL. There is
but you heard
MCL.
that right, Drew?
Yeah. No. Okay. Yeah. So during the fight, Rick, uh, Tim Bradley was pretty much saying, and it kind of sounded like he was overreacting because Tim Testador or whatever,
The
David
story
or
or whatever.
Test, yeah, he wasn't trying to tap into that.
Yeah,
You
he
could tell
wasn't.
because he actually talked
Because
about
it
he
is
changed the
fucking
subject up.
acting.
He said he changed the subject up, and Tim
No.
Bradley,
Hmm.
before that, Tim Bradley was like, he got a messed up knee now. He got a messed up knee now.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, messed
like
up
that's
knee
when.
because he's getting buckled by some shots.
Yeah, true. So that's
No,
the thing.
no.
Okay, so hold on.
He already had
Hold on.
walked in with a leg brace,
Yeah,
homie. He had a leg brace. He had a
yeah,
knee thing.
he did. Yeah, he did. It's just I don't know if that can be the effect of the reason why you're buckling. Sometimes you can position yourself to like not rely on that knee too much. Like if he's like he didn't seem he was moving around pretty good.
Yeah,
Odebek was,
yeah. I
and
agree.
he was moving around pretty good. So I don't think so, man. It's
I'm
hard to
reading the
say.
reports
It's
and
hard to
nothing
say.
was stated. All it says was Kolmatov, a 25-year-old from Uzbekistan, was headed to a local hospital for observation following the TKO defeat. ESPN Joe Tessitore said on the broadcast. That's it.
Okay.
There's
Yeah,
nothing about
yeah.
an ACL.
But I heard it.
There's nothing
I
about
heard it.
a fucking MCO thing. Like, no,
Look,
bro.
I heard it. And you know what? I also have ESPN Plus. I could play it right now. I could look for the spot. I could put my mic right next to it and let you guys hear it. I'm just letting
Yeah,
you
but
know
that
what
doesn't
they
prove anything.
reported. It doesn't prove
Canelo,
anything.
hold on. Canelo had, when he fought Triple G in the second fight, he had an ACL surgery, and you see him wearing a brace. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean he has an ACL tear as the fight is continuing. Trying to tell you guys, when you have a real ACL tear, you can't put no weight. There's no weight transfer on that
Yeah,
leg. You
facts.
Okay,
can
well, I don't know, man. What do you want me to tell you, Mr. Kinetics? I don't
No,
know nothing about those things.
It's
I'm
not
just letting
even
you know what they reported.
what I'm
I'm
saying
just
is, since you brought it up, there's no substance to that report. Is what I'm trying to
yeah,
tell you.
okay.
That's
Well, then
fake
in this
news.
all
case,
I'm saying.
and
Just say
okay.
it's fake news. Just say it's fake news.
All
That's
right,
one
we'll
thing.
give it a fake news then. I guess maybe the promotion that has their promoted fighter there is somehow gonna make their guy look easily to beat. I don't know. Listen, all I'm trying to say is this: props and credit to both fighters. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I think Kolmatov was gonna win by 1 round. And I don't think it would have been a robbery. Anybody could have seen things different. If they had a Kolmatov up by 2 rounds, maybe three, okay, so be it. That's not that big a difference because all it takes is one, and then you got two, and then you take two, and then you got one. But it was a heck of a fight. Raymond Ford, he knew what to do at the end. He knew that there was seconds left, and he never gave up his chance to do every single thing to become a champion, and that's exactly what true champions are supposed to do: fight every single second and not leave anything up there for the judge to decide who won. He did the right thing. Raymond Ford goes up there in a fight of the year contender, just like Oshaki Foster did when he took on Eduardo Rocky Hernandez in the nation state of Mexico. And he, likewise, in the 12th round, put up the most explosive ending of a fight to secure the win in the last few moments of a fight that I've seen in recent history. And yes, Oshaki Foster and Raymond Ford would be a heck of a fight.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
great fight.
Absolutely. And onto that, right? Oshaki Foster says, man, this will be easy work. And to what
What?
Raymond Ford goes on, man, you ducked me for sparring. And you cut it out.
Oh,
Shockey says, man, what cap, boy? If we being real, I only know you because Vasquez, the guy y'all robbed, came to spar me when he was getting ready for you. Better ask. I ain't ducking shit, but when the time comes, I'm gonna give you what you're looking for. Woo-hoo-hoo. So it
damn.
looks like they're already building up their own little moment and segue into a fight at 130. Raymond Ford then responds, man. This is yesterday. Like I said, just say my name and I'm willing to put belt to ass on anybody.
And you know
Hmm.
what? And you know what? Here's the thing: they have a common matchmaker that they both work with. We have Eddie Hearn, Mr. Eddie Hearn from Matchroom, who's the promoter for Raymond Ford. He had been following that young man since he was about to go into the Olympics, and then when he decided to forgo the Olympics in Tokyo, Raymond Ford reached out to him and told him, "Open for business." And Eddie Hearn goes, "You're not going to Tokyo?" And he says, "No." And he goes, "Let's talk. I have this fight over here. Meet me over there." And then from there, Eddie Hearn bet on this kid. And he's already done work with Oshaki Foster. He messed up the bag though, because he should have signed Oshaki Foster as soon as Oshaki Foster beat Rocky Hernandez in Mexico. And I'm not too sure why he didn't do that. I know he didn't do that because Eddie Hernandez, or Eddie Hernandez, was the promoter of Eduardo Hernandez, and he wanted that Mexican guy to win. But I don't know. He could have just signed Oshaki, and then he could have had another champion right there. But I think Oshaki Foster did not like the fact that he had to travel abroad. We know these American fighters, right? They think that if you have to, they have to fight elsewhere. That discredits their value. It belittles their credibility. They think that America is the mecca of all things boxing. We know that's starting to change, but I really do think that he should have signed, or at least talked to Hearn and said, "Hey, what you got for me after this?" Because now they could have made this fight much easier. I still think that is a possible fight, but let me ask you gentlemen something. Who do you guys have for that win though if they fight?
I got Raymond Ford. Raymond Ford. Oshaki. Oshaki's good. Uh, I think
But
somebody.
Ford is better.
This is the thing. I think if you were to fight, if Raymond Ford were to fight Ray Vargas, he would make it look 10 times easier than Oshaki Foster. You know, he just packs more of a punch than him. He's just as quick as him because Oshaki's fast. He got fast hands, and you can see that because of his amateur pedigree, and he's been through that whole circuit. You know, sparring all those top guys, but. So you see it, it's just he doesn't pack a punch like Raymond Ford. And Raymond Ford has a chin on top of that. Oshaki ain't got no power. Not like that. Not like Odebek. You know, and Raymond Ford's gonna take every single punch, every single thing that he has to offer. You know, the only thing that he can really rely on is that jab and kind of being on the road, or like kind of boxing and hit to get not get hit, not really to like hurt him or anything like that. You know, just to win rounds. You know, he's better off going for the unanimous than he is than anything else. But Raymond Ford, he's got all the tools in the tool bag to really put him away or just kind of take his time with him. You know, I think Raymond Ford got in the bag.
Uh, Homie, um, that fight with Oshaki Foster versus Abraham Nova. Um, how do you think Oshaki Foster looked like? Did he look very dominant? Did he look like some limitations started to be displayed when he had another fighter that was as quick as him, slightly more powerful, that also had some height and reach similar to his, or maybe even greater? Um, did he look capable? Because the thing about boxing is that you're only as good as your last fight. So according to these two fighters and the way that they fought, do you agree with Drew that we would have Oshaki Foster lose at the hands of Raymond Ford?
You talking to me?
Omi Ricky, he's probably
Oh,
taking a poop or something.
yeah, he's taking a poop, the thumpers. But
Yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah, no, I think
so what do you think of what did you see in Oshaki Foster against Nova, Drew? I didn't think he looked as spectacular as he did against Rocky Hernandez. But of course, we know that Rocky Hernandez had to come forward with the aggression because he was smaller and so forth and so on. But when he was faced with somebody with equal dimensions as him, he didn't look as dominating. And in fact, it wasn't too spectacular of a fight from him. It was pretty
well, I think
lackluster.
I think the problem, not the problem, but what it is that Oshaki beat a dude in Ray Vargas. He's a formidable opponent, except he moved up in weight. So he's really fighting a smaller guy in reality, and him fighting Abraham Nova. Abraham Nova isn't really one of those top tier guys. He's good. He's one of those. He's good enough to go the distance with you. Is just somebody a higher echelon of fighters higher than him can actually beat Oshaki. You know, I think Oshaki's good. He gives a lot of people a hard time. It's really all about styles when it comes down to him. Um, so I think I'm hearing my echo, bro, and I think it's you, Rick, or Speed.
No, it's not me because I have myself on mute. It's on you. You probably have bad internet.
Nah. Yeah. Okay.
I'm
We're
on
good
mute.
now. We're good now. We're good now. We're good now. All right. But yeah, he's so Oshaki's good. It's just more of a styles fight for him. The fact that he beat Ray Vargas, somebody who's like lengthy, says a lot. It means he's got a fast jab and he actually was able to penetrate through him. But I think, from my understanding, Ray Vargas was coming up in weight. So he didn't really have too much power for Oshaki to respect. And Abraham Nova, he's a full fledged. He's a 130 pounder, I believe. Yeah, a full
Yeah.
fledged 130 pounder, and that's where he's been at his whole career, and he holds enough power for Oshaki to kind of respect him enough, but he didn't give him too much respect. But I mean, he should have got him out of there. He should have got him out of there with how he was, with how open he was in shots and all that. But um, yeah, no, he beat him fair. Like, he beat him in the distance, but Raymond Ford again would have put him away.
Now, Mr. BDA, one of the guys that I listen to, I really respect the gentleman. He's a host of the BDA show, longtime reputable boxing analyst and commentator. Um, he describes uh, this fighting style as American slick style, ASS, or better known as style, right? Um, there and do you think that any of these guys have? Don't you think they have a similar fighting style where they're in the pocket, right? But they rely a lot on the jab. Both of them are very quick. We saw how Raymond Ford was, struggling also with the jab of Kormatov, because Kormatov also had a good jab. They were both jabbing, boom, boom. Both of their heads were snapping back and forth until Kormatov decided to step it up and start throwing a bit more combos, be more aggressive, and start throwing a bit more haymakers. That's when the fight started to turn. But they do have very similar styles. They have good speed, good reach. They know their distance, punching. They move well. They both seem to have chin, and both of them have grit. Let me ask you, if you put guys with similar fighting styles, and for the most part, they aren't the type to be known to be aggressors, though they can switch it up.
Who?
Do you Raymond Ford and Ochaki Foster? They're not known to be aggressors. They can be because we've seen how they win their fights recently. But if they want to, they can also put on stinkfest, technical stinkfest. Let me ask you something. Can that fight develop into a stinkfest?
Well, a couple of things. At least the school of teaching, the black code, so to speak, right? The black American style of boxing is hit and not get hit. So they first focused on the defensive aspect first of not getting hit and making it a clean fight. Because if you have clean fights and you're just dominating from the outside, you're gonna have longevity. If you can pick them apart from afar, boom. But there are some times that there's fighters like Bivol or Otabek that can match your intensity, that can match your speed and focus, and are better outboxers in terms of an in and out style than you, right? We saw this with Shakur against Edwin de los Santos. The problem was in that fight, Shakur didn't stand his ground at all or push forward the action because Edwin was extremely fast, witty, and hit harder than Shakur. So he knew, man, I can't win like this. Raymond displayed the other aspect with if this guy is going to outbox me, then I'm going to be rugged and have a dogfight. Andre Ward did the same thing with Kovalev. Kovalev was a superior outboxer to Ward, right? And he was able to connect. In the second fight, he pushes him backwards, right? And makes it dirty and a rugged fight, a lot of inside fighting, a lot of clinching, a lot of low blows. Anyway, so that's how they're taught. Make it easy first from the outside. Ones and twos and countering twos and ones, back step, counter punching, having good movement, X, Y, and Z. First, make it easy. If you can make it easy, then we have the other element of surprise where we can dog it out in the pocket. Couple of things. I just want to just point that out.
Yeah.
Oshaki Foster, you guys, I think Drew said that, Raymond Ford will make the fight with Ray Vargas much easier than Oshaki Foster. I just want to remind you guys, Oshaki Foster beat Ray Vargas 11 rounds to 1. It was super easy,
He already did?
Even the trainer was like, hey, when he was telling Oshaki in the corner, hey, when he throws that goofy shit, because Ray Vargas throws some stupid ass looking punches, when he throws that goofy shit, then you counter punch. It was so easy for Oshaki Foster in that particular fight. Now, I will agree with this. Raymond Ford has the temperament, the speed, and the power, and the counter punching ability to knock out Ray Vargas to the point where he can knock out Ray Vargas within 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Right? So in that sense, I could see that Ray Savage could make it much easier in that aspect if he were to just knock him out. But Oshaki had that's his easiest fight on his record. Now, Speed says something amongst the lines that why didn't he re-sign with Eddie Hearn, or Hearn didn't give him a longer contract, and why did Oshaki win the top ring? Well, absolutely. Oshaki is the champion, and he should have been fighting at his home state of Texas, not going down south on the border and fighting Rocky Hernandez. So, yeah, he should have some type of resentment or some foul play and be like, bro, I'm the champion. I'm a bigger name than Rocky Hernandez, and you're putting me up in Culiacan or wherever the fight took place. Well, I'm gonna feel type of way, so I'm not gonna sign with you because I know I'm not your guy.
Well, because he doesn't have a network.
That, and he was like, yeah, I know this guy sells more in Texas than I'm gonna give him, the champion, the credit. It's very rare that you see the champion, the legit champion, go across the pond or whatever and defend his title elsewhere rather than in home. It doesn't. It's very rare that happens. So yeah, Oshaki should feel a type of way on that. To answer your final question, if that fight were to happen, I think that was your question, right? Speed between Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a tough fight. Again, I would give the respect to the champion and Foster to beat Ray Ford because he's been in that weight class. But like Cordina, like Foster, they're having a hard time making 130. So I would maybe favor Raymond Ford. But again, you don't go out there and fight the champion straight up ahead unless you're that much superior. And I don't think Ford is much superior in that way and then that shape and form than Cordina and Foster. I think they're like 50-50 fights. So I would need him to test the waters first at 130, then fight the champions. But straight fighting those two killers, I don't know, man. I would have to favor the champs.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
You're saying earlier about what's his name, Oshaki, pretty much going down south. I think things have changed though. He signed with Top Rank, so the problem was that he didn't have a network.
Mhm.
So that was the
Yeah.
main problem. But I think he's now signed, so he should be able to make those fights happen.
Yeah.
I just didn't know Ray Vargas fought Ford already. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they fought in San Antonio,
Mm.
Texas, if I'm not mistaken. But you see, look, guys, I get that, right? Look, Mr. Eddie Hearn is on a mission to make boxing more ubiquitous, right?
What does
He
that mean?
doesn't want it. That just means he wants it more dispersed throughout the world. He
Uh,
wants it to be present everywhere. Ubiquity means to be everywhere, right? So,
mm.
he wants boxing to be in the UK. He wants boxing to be in Australia. He wants boxing to take place in Mexico, in the United States. He wants it in Japan. He wants it to be a global sport. And one of the ways that he is able to do that is he takes his fighters all over the world, not only the champions, right? But he'll take, or his own fighters, he'll take anybody to other parts of the world because he wants to also introduce them to these parts of the world, right? Um, but if I had been Oshaki Foster and he took me to Mexico, obviously, I would have known that they're trying to set up the fight to give the promoted hometown fighter odds. But after I beat the guy, if I understand what's going on, I would be like, well, he also likes to take his own fighters to their own backyards to introduce them as champions, right? Because that's the first thing any fighter should do: have a championship defense in their own backyard. Unfortunately for Mr. Eddie Hearn, every time he takes his own champions to their own backyard, they tend to have the worst performances of their life. Like Eddie Hernandez, he got beat by Oshaki Foster. We had Regis Prograis and Luis Anna. I think it took place in Baton Rouge, and he looked very bad against I think it was Sorrilla. Um, but 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 uh but I would have thought, hey, this guy might actually have a homecoming fight for me in Texas, and he's not a bad promoter. Obviously, he packed up the house, and I'm not too sure if Oshaki Foster has packed up the house before, right? That's the thing. American boxing fans talk a big one. We talk a big one, but we never show up when it
Look, this is
matters,
the
and
thing.
we have to change that.
But this is the thing, though, right? You got dudes like Ruben Villa. He's fighting out in Corpus Christi, right? I mean, he's not even from Texas. So there's obviously some kind of demand for boxing in Texas for at least Latino Mexican boxers. So I think and also the fact that that Oshaki, he's from Texas, so I don't know why he wouldn't fight in Texas in his hometown. You know, so I don't know. They gotta set some shit up for him. I know he hasn't. He only got one fight under Top Rank, but that's what I'm saying. I think some of these fights are are gonna come to fruition for him pretty soon.
Yeah, I agree. I want to say this. I know that Venado Lopez, who was on the co-main event, he cleared his mandatory in fighting and beating that Japanese fighter who was also a southpaw. It's clear that he doesn't want to fight Ruben Villa because he's high risk, low reward, and he wants bigger and better things. He wants to become a unified champion. If not, he also stated that if he can't get a unification, he's willing to go up to 130 and fight the winner of Leon Wilson and Oscar Valdez. So
Crazy,
where does that leave Ruben Villa then? You see,
bro.
like
I when I
he's
heard,
going to fight in Texas, I think next month, I believe in April, right?
yeah,
Or was it May? I don't know. He's supposed to fight relatively soon in Corpus Christi again, against an opponent, not really stated yet. He's not gonna get that Luis Venado Lopez fight. So where do
dude,
Ruben Villa go in that aspect? And
Well,
how do you guys do see if he can't get a unification match, Venado? How do you think
yeah,
him and Oscar Valdez look, man? That's a good.
well. Here's the thing, guys. I'm gonna just throw it out there. Is it a blessing in disguise that Ruben Villa, the fourth, is not gonna fight at Venado at this moment in Venado's career?
What,
That's the
what are you
reason.
saying? You think Venado beats Ruben?
yeah.
This is, guys, I've
Say it.
said that El
What you
Venado
saying, man? What you
Lopez,
saying?
look,
Say it
I'm
with your
saying
chest.
that Luis Alberto Lopez El Venado
Say it with your
has had
chest.
one of the most incredible uh, runs at championship after a loss in boxing its recent history. I cannot think of any fighter that has taken a bad performance in a loss like El Venado and ended up becoming the most incredible road warrior champion in recent history. That guy is a threat. That guy is a fan favorite fighter. And I saw the fight take place between
Whoa.
the former.
So what are
If
you
you don't see
saying?
it,
What are you
What are you
saying?
I'm just
saying?
saying, that if Lopez Cervenado goes up to 130, that
No.
just leaves a vacancy
Uh,
that Ruben Villa can take in there without having to face a guy. Look, it doesn't look good.
Wow, you're
Look,
crazy. So what you're
whoa, whoa, whoa.
saying
Here's
is
the other thing. Here's the other thing. Remember how we talked about this? Remember how I talked about it looks very bad for the guy who's beating up at another guy to pursue the same fight with the same guy he already beat. It looks very bad. It does not look brave that you just want
no,
to fight the same guys you've already
bro.
beat. This is why I believe that
No,
Keyshawn Davis, when he was calling Andy Cruz out for that type of movement, I agreed
no,
with him. Yes,
no,
yes, yes.
no,
And
no.
here's the thing.
I'm not
Why?
saying no to
That's
that.
crazy.
time.
Go ahead.
Get
Hold
out
on,
of
hold
here.
on, hold on. Let me
Go
process
ahead.
this correctly. So when Ruben Villa's promoter manager, promoter 559 was saying that Ruben was going to become a champion by this year, you think he's going to get it later on in the year by vacancy? Vinalo Lopez moving to 130. And that's basically what you're saying. And you're also saying that it's a blessing in disguise because Luis Alberto Lopez has gotten that much better from that loss to Ruben that he would beat Ruben. And, by default, if he moves up, Ruben will not get knocked out or beat up.
I'm
Is that what you're
That's
saying?
what
I'm
you
just
said.
I'm just saying that I don't think Ruben Villa is too far off as a former Olympian, like Mick Conlon was being a former Olympian
Man,
when El Venado
All right.
knocked him out and threw him out the ropes.
All
Oh
right.
wait, that was Lee Wood. That was Lee Wood. Sorry about that.
No,
But
it was
okay.
it was Mick Conlon. He
yeah,
also
yeah,
knocked
yeah,
out
yeah.
Mick Conlon like in the fifth round
He's
with a
not
nasty
McCollin though.
uppercut that he didn't see
And
coming.
also Josh Warrington.
Let's talk about this. Luis Venado Lopez. Okay. When Ruben Villa beat him, he was 14-1. Ruben Villa was 15-0. Just to give the fans some context, because nobody really knows Ruben other than us, because we're from the same area. He went on to have one, two, three, four, five fights after Ruben Villa, in which he won, and he beat one undefeated fighter, Christian Baez, who was giving Emmanuel Navarrete a really good fight for 6 rounds, beating him, and then he gets shot by a body punch to the liver, doesn't get up. He also beat a guy from San Jose, Andy Vences, right? 23-1. He beats Mauro Loretta, 19 wins and 12 losses, and this is where Venado shines. He beats a young 19 or 18-year-old Gabriel Flores Jr., who was 20-0, and he
Hmm.
beats him badly, right? Where a lot of people were questioning his father and telling him, bro, you got to protect your son. You got to throw in the towel, right? Flores Sr. was getting a lot of backlash for that performance, for the failure to protect his young son, because it was such a one-sided beatdown, right? And his son was telling him, like, no, you can't throw in the towel. The father was going to throw in the towel like in the 10th or in the 8th, 9th round. And the son was like, nah, don't throw it, man. He's like, nah. He showed a lot of heart. Then he goes on to beat Isaac Lowe. But that was the turning point for Venaldo's career. That Flores fight that gave him a lot of exposure. And that's where I believe Top Rank signed him. He goes on to fight 3 more fights, and he fights Josh Warrington for the title shot, okay, over there in Leeds and across the pond in the UK. And if you remember that fight, guys, especially you, Drew, I mean, not you, Drew, Speed, Josh Warrington likes to use his headbutt a lot. In fact, a lot of his bouts are head clashes, and dudes get, complain about it, and he gets away with murder. Like, it's murder. No, I'm just joking. But nevertheless, in that fight, Venado Lopez was bitching since the first round, right? The whole fight. And he was like looking for a scapegoat. He was like asking the ref, man, he's complaining. And as he's complaining, Warrington is throwing shots at him. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, bro, you
Yep.
are the visitor. You're not a hometown favorite fighter. You're in the Lions Den and you're asking for a fair shake. Man, knock this guy out. And
Yeah.
he was complaining the whole fight. And I'm like, bro, I was so angry. The fight was much closer because of those moments. I was like, bro, where's your inside game? So I'm gonna be
Mm.
honest with you. And then he beat Michael Conlan, he knocked him out, but Michael Conlan, he never really was that guy. Then he beat Joel Gonzalez, that I thought it was a
Mhm.
close fight, but Venado showed a lot, and then he just beat the Japanese fighter. Ruben Villa beats Venado Lopez because he had a lot of problems last night when Rhea Abe was having a lot of good
Abe. Abe.
boxing from the outside. Venado was perplexed. He was throwing shots and they weren't landing, and it's just like, now Ruben will still take you to school all over again. It's gonna be a good fight, like it was the first time. But any of these southpaws, like Raymond Ford, like Ruben Villa, they'll
Yeah.
take you to school and they'll beat you.
And
Venado is
this,
extremely flawed. He's doing great, like you said. I'm gonna give you credit where you said that he has so much momentum from a loss where he's catapulted. I haven't seen a good run like Venado, and it's really
yeah.
untalked about. But he's still extremely flawed. He's just getting the knockouts, but he's not really fixing those issues that he's had in the past.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
homie Ricky, what I'm trying to say is that El Venado Lopez has a punching power that
He
turns
does.
the script in one fight. I mean, in one punch landed. I mean, look, he caved the cheekbone of Abe in the
Yeah,
second
but
round with.
that's
Who's Abe though? Who has Abe beat? Who do you know that he's beaten? And have you ever seen Abe fight ever before in your life? Exactly.
yeah, exactly. So
Enough
it's
said.
like, come on.
Enough said.
Yes. Yeah, and
We don't
it's
know Abe. This was our first introduction. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't know who he was. When you talked about the Japanese fighters that are coming up, we know Takashi Inoue. We know Jerwin Nanjaka is Filipino, but we know all of these other guys, Takuma Inoue, Nakatani. We know a lot of those guys, but we don't
Okay,
know.
then let me ask you.
We don't
Let
know
me
no
ask you.
Abe.
Who is Ruben Villa?
Huh?
Who is Ruben Villa?
He's a guy that beat Venado, and he's also a guy that had a title shot with Emmanuel Navarrete and came up
And he
short.
lost.
Yeah.
And he lost.
But
He
we
got
at
knocked
least
down
know of him.
twice. And
But we
he
know
got
of
knocked
him.
down twice. And you know what El Venado Lopez and Emmanuel Navarrete share? The very unorthodox, powerful style. You're really forgetting this. That they're very quite similar. The way that they turn around fights with their very unorthodox style. And so if you try to say that the technical prowess, which I'm not trying to discredit Ruben Villa the fourth, he is an incredible fighter. He is a very technically skilled fighter, and I do see the development. But if you look at the record of Ruben Villa and the caliber of fighters that he's been taking on after having beaten Lopez and after having lost to Emmanuel Navarrete, those kind of fighters do not prepare you for El Venado at
yeah, they
all.
do. Yeah, they
No,
do.
they don't. Look at the fighters. Look at the record, Drew. I
Yeah,
don't
I do.
think you've. Oh, okay. There you go. You're just gonna say I do. Yeah, yeah, I do. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I do know for a fact that taking on Warrington and taking on Mick Conlon and taking on all of these fighters from all over the world in their backyard, does benefit El Venado. I can
All right,
assure you of
because
that.
look, I don't like to interrupt people. That's why,
Okay, go for it.
me and Rick
Explain
have good.
why these fighters.
That's why me and Rick have good conversations because we don't interrupt each other. But yeah, it's just that
Oh,
that's all I
so
could say.
cute. No, that's
Then
not all
see,
you're going to say. I want you to support what you just said. You said the type of fighters that Ruben Villa has taken on after El Venado and after having lost to Manuel Navarrete to prepare him for the caliber of fighter that El Venado Lopez is, the type of caliber of fighter that Raymond Ford is, the type of caliber of fighter that Kolmatov is, and the type of fighter that Abe is. Support your opinion. I want to hear that.
you gonna let me talk?
Yeah, because you said that's
Okay.
all you were going to say.
No, 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 because that's all I could say when you're talking. Anyways,
Oh, okay. Now it's that.
all right. So yeah, no. When you got dudes like Navarrete, like that's like those dudes display heart, and pretty much that's what carries Navarrete and Venado. They all got heart, bro, and pretty much they're all technically flawed. Navarrete and fucking Venado, bro. Like they're extremely flawed, but they have the technique, and especially since here Ruben already fucking Venado. Like I'm pretty sure he knows what he comes with, you know. So don't you think they're gonna actually do better the second time around, bro? Like it's all IQ, bro. Like it's all IQ. They have punching power, and Venado has had a run that's very unique. Not unique, but like it's similar to
Very
like
unique.
Navarrete.
Very
And
unique.
what was that?
Oh, it's very unique.
Yeah, yeah, and it's unique because the way he came up. Usually they weren't expecting this dude to really come through and shine like the way he
Nope.
is right now. Like he's taking advantage of every single opportunity, even
Agreed.
though he's lost to a dude in his own stable. He's taking advantage of every single opportunity, bro, and he's actually become a fan favorite with the way he fights as well. You
Absolutely. He
know.
was a 14-1 underdog against Gabe Flores.
Yeah, exactly. So they come with heart, bro, and they're extremely flawed. And I mean, what do you prepare for, really? Like, what kind of technique do you prepare for? It's really just you're preparing your body to go through 12 rounds of hell, and that's what you know you're gonna come with. Already, Ruben's a better boxer than both those guys, Navarrete and fucking Venado. It's just
But
that they
I
display
think
heart.
you, Drew.
I
I
would agree with
apologize. I think you just supported all of the reasons why I'm saying that Ruben Villa facing El Venado would have a way different fight now. You just gave me reasons for why we should give credit to El Venado. He's got heart. These guys are crazy. They're gonna give you 12 rounds of hell, right? And what I'm trying to tell you is this. Okay, the kind of fighters, I'll read them out to you. The kind of fighters that Ruben Villa has had in his past few years, do not give him that kind of hell. Do not give him that kind of heart. We have fighters. Just check this out. After he beat Luis El Venado, right? After he beat El Venado, because that was an incredible fight, right? He ends up taking on Enrique Vivas. I don't know who that is.
what the hell was
He
that?
exactly. He takes
What
on
do you mean?
Alexi Collado. I don't know who that is. He goes on to
That was
fight Emmanuel
real.
Navarrete. He loses to that guy. And then in the past 4 years, guys, he's only fought twice. How does inactivity and then taking on fighters like Horacio Garcia and Michael Lopez Villagrana in your hometown, in Stockton, and in California, and in Paradise, Nevada, every place in the United States, how does that long of a layoff, that inactivity, after having lost, how does that prepare you for any of these things? If you try to tell me that Ruben Villa is gonna come on here and Mocion in and beat El Venado like he did 5 years ago or so, I'm trying to tell you, you're discrediting the incredible run that the Mexican has had. And here's the thing: the mismanagement, I would say, the mismanagement of Ruben Villa's career, because Top Rank, ever since he was signed to Top Rank is not doing well by him.
Look,
Ruben Villa should have a chance at becoming in those three opportunities that he had. I think he only has one more remaining. He should have had this last fight a championship bout, and they exploited, mismanaged those opportunities. They didn't maximize it, and I don't know if it would be favorable for him to take on a Lopez. I'm not trying to say he can't beat him. If you've done it once, you do it again. And this is the reason why Keyshawn Davis was trying to tell Andy Cruz, bro, what credit do you get if you've beaten me 4 times? Why is anybody going to give you any credit for beating me again? That's the same thing that would happen to Ruben Villa, because he would already be a fighter. So I'm telling you, yes, he
That's a
can.
very interesting take, because as you state that, I logged on to Ruben Villa in terms of what you're talking about with Top Rank, now
Yeah.
giving him a championship fight already.
Yeah.
He's fighting a guy named Christian Cruz Chacon.
Okay.
Hey, who is that?
yeah, I don't know.
Well, he's the guy who's going to be preparing for Lopez.
But he can't, because he's
That's
ranked
what I'm
90.
saying.
Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm saying. He's ranked 90 in the world. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, bro, when are you gonna fight a top 10 caliber fighter to prepare you for a championship fighter? Even like a guy like Lee Wood. You're
Yeah,
not
no.
even fighting an Angelo Leo or a Nick Boss fighting Ray Vargas, but you're like not fighting none of these guys, or a Joel Gonzalez or Isaac Dogbo, fighters in the top 20. And to the
That's
same,
crazy.
I don't know if Ruben Villa has a 3 or 4 fight deal with Top Rank. This is going to be his third
Three,
fight with
if I'm
Top Rank.
mistaken.
And he fought a guy named Michael Lopez, 16 and 14, Brandon Valdez, 15 and 3. And Brandon Valdez looked to be good, by the way. I was like, wow, this guy's pretty good. And then
Yeah,
Christian Cruz Chacon, 22 and 6. I'm like, bro, it's almost like you're not fighting really a dude with a pulse. Now,
yeah,
again, as I stated, that guy Brandon Valdez, when he fought in
was good.
Corpus Christi last year, he was really good. I was like, man, this dude's pretty durable. He can stand in the pocket. You know, he reminded me of an Abraham Nova punch selection and kind of stand your ground and pot and punch in between. But I was like, bro, why aren't you getting a fight with Lee Wood right now?
That would be a perfect fight.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's a
great.
winnable fight against a 35-year-old. Why aren't you getting a fight with Josh Warrington? Why is it Christian Cruz Chacon? Like, this is not going to do anything for you.
Yeah.
You know, you can knock him out, but it's like, okay, cool. Who did Chacon beat? And when I look at this, I'm like, he ain't fought nobody that I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
am
didn't
a
know.
little disappointed with Top Rank in the handling of Ruben V. I understand that you're keeping him busy, and I understand that you're going to make a bigger fight towards the end of the year, but why isn't it now? You already had 2 tune-ups. We went to see one live in Stockton. Bro, we need a top 10, top 15 fighter, a Dogbo, a Joel Gonzalez, a Josh Warrington. And
Yeah,
it's the same, you know, not to be detrimental or, derogatory, but it's the same recycled fighters.
Ruben
yeah, I
Villa's
didn't.
too good to be fighting a guy ranked 90.
Yeah, I didn't know he was gonna fight that dude that you just said right now.
Yeah, I just
Like,
looked it up right now, man. Damn.
wow. See, like okay, I said all that, but if he's gonna fight those type of guys, I like it doesn't feel like he's gonna become a world champion this year, just because dudes need to earn the opportunity to get at that world title
Yup.
belt, and if you got a dude that's fighting, who's that dude you just said right now, Lee Wood?
Uh,
Lee would be a great fight.
well,
Oh, I'm
yeah, well, Lee Wood, I don't know what he's doing, what's his next plan, but the guy that
okay.
Ruben Diaz fighting is some guy named Christian Chacon.
At least
Yeah.
someone upper tier than that, and yeah, it doesn't feel like he's gonna become a world champion, because he's capable of being one. It's just like I said, dudes got to earn the
Let's
opportunity
not
to.
forget, guys. Let's not forget who Ruben Villa is. See, if there's anybody out there that's thinking that I'm trying to discredit Ruben Villa, no. I come from a place of admiration and out of respect for his abilities because he is one of the best standout fighters in California. He represented California in the Olympics. Let's not forget that this guy has fight experience, having beaten Shakur Stevens, right? The three weight division champion. This guy has been the guy who beat El Venado Lopez, the guy who's on the tear after having lost at the hands of the Salinas native. You see what I'm saying? This is why I question myself. Why is Ruben Filla not being placed at a shot to championship? Is his manager mismanaging? Do they not trust him? Do they want to pad his career? Do they think he's not ready? Does Top Rank
Well,
not think he's not ready? Can Top
and
Rank not offer him anything? I don't
yeah,
know.
and there's a thing like they actually have sparring, behind the scenes, and they actually set him up, with some tough guys. Uh, I
Yeah,
know in Top Rank Gym, like they got some guys that you've never heard of, I've never heard of, but they're actually low key like really tough and dudes that they can rely on to give, a guy a little. And that's like pretty much their interview, and the sparring, and they actually see how they do, and they have behind the scene tests and quizzes, and you never know what happens behind the scenes. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
hopefully he didn't like, I don't know, like this is the thing. Ruben's IQ is he's got a high IQ. When it comes down to boxing, it's just the power, and how much respect his opponents give him, because I mean his last opponent came with some heat, man, and he
Yeah,
actually was there was there to get hit and was actually popping Ruben with some shit too.
I
So I think
agree.
Ruben got to create some kind of punching power, which is actually teachable, because I mean one of the hardest things to get is IQ, which is he already has, So hopefully he manages to not reinvent himself, but just kind of build off of what he does great,
Very,
you know.
very fair, very fair. Ruben does have good brain. He's a very technical
Pause.
fighter, but he needs to. If you don't have the power, you gotta throw combination punching. You can't just counter every single time. Like you gotta throw shots, man. You gotta go for broke. And Ruben don't really have. He don't really do that. Like he does throw punches, but he needs more, bro. Like you gotta like knock these guys. Same thing with Lomachenko. Lomachenko understands like he doesn't have that one punch hitter and quitter, but he understands that 500 punches that I land with my potency, with my intelligence, with my shot placement, it's going to hurt you and it's going to rock you. You see, I couldn't see a Ruben Villa knocking out a Jorge Linares in the
You
manner
know,
Loma does because you need that power. You see, and so yeah, man, I know he's got a boxing IQ, but where's the IQ to develop strength? That's
there
also
was this
it's a
there was
different.
this I'm sorry, homie, go on.
Yeah, you do that to everybody. Nah, go ahead and finish your piece, man. Damn.
So there was this old boxing show that I used to listen to before YouTube. It
Keep it
was
that way and leave it buried. It's old boxing show. You said it yourself.
it's 6 8, it was on 680 a.m. And it's a radio station that that's no longer exists, I believe. And it was hosted by a local sports writer for one of the local periodicals, and they would interview some of these fighters from right here and from all parts of the world, really. But I remember they interviewed a Mr. Max Garcia, if I'm not mistaken. Max Garcia is the trainer or the manager of Ruben Villa currently. And he was explaining how he would bring in fighters. He said how he would get in these fighters that already had other trainers before, but he just needed to perfect their abilities, and he would start off with defense. And he says that they would go back to basics and focus on defense and defense and defense and defense and defense until it was like second nature. Defense had to be primordial. Defense had to be the very first thing and that they would focus on, right? And and of course we know that to be true, right? That's any gym uh does that for the most part, right? Because if you go in there the very first day and if they don't tell you how to defend yourself, you're gonna have the worst experience of your life. You're not just gonna go over there and throw punches. They're gonna tell you how to avoid getting punches because the other people have already been training. So, but he made it such a focus of on defense that soon after those interviews, I started following more of Ruben Villa, some of the other fighters that he had, and I started to notice it was very heavy on the defense, which is good because defense and allowing yourself to evade a lot of the aggression and the power coming against you allows you to fight better and to pick your shots. But I started to notice that as a result of that, uh, some of those fighters weren't as aggressive as they could have been, even though they seem to have the superior skills. They seem to be much better than their competitors, and if should they use their arms to swing more, they would likely have stopped them. And I always just stay with that thought, like, uh, is Ruben Villa so educated on defense that he won't take that extra risk to end his opponents violently? And the problem that I have with that is this: as long as you continue to have a fighter before you, there's always the puncher's chance. And if there's a puncher's chance against you, you can anytime lose. This is what I'm trying to say. El Venado has more than the puncher's chance. He has the punch. And if he lands it, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, very, very fair point and very true. I can definitely see that happening with Ruben Villa and any ops, and that'll be his fault. And it doesn't just come down to Ruben Villa, the fighter. It also comes down to the training regimen and who he's with, and that's the Garcia family. As we talked about in the past, Max Garcia has had fighters reach championship bouts in his time. He had a guy named Eloy Perez who he fought and lost to Adrian Broner and got knocked out in 4 or 5 rounds on HBO many years ago. That was the introduction to HBO and Adrian Broner.
Damn.
And so that happened. Look at Manuel Tina Avila, a very good technician boxer, but when he faced and stepped up with fighters like a Jojo Diaz, who's very crafty and technical, and he's got good pop to his punches. Max Garcia's fighters, as technical as they sound, the fact that they haven't, or he's groomed a fighter with punching power capability and just resorted to everything else, might be the downfall of Ruben. You see, they also had a guy named El Gallo Negro, Paul Mendez, and he fought on ESPN. And when he fought on ESPN, he fought this Russian fighter, right? I don't really remember his name. See if I can, pull it up. But see, Paul Mendez, he was like a 6'2" kid.
I can look it up for you.
6'1", and he got beat by this guy who was 13-0, and El Gallo Negro, had like 17 wins and 2 losses at the time. He got knocked out. It was a TKO stoppage by this guy named Evgen Kitrov. Okay? And this dude he stopped, I think I said it in like the 9th round or so, but he stopped Paul Mendez. It was bad. Paul Mendez, for every punch that he would land, that guy, Kitrov, landed like 3-1, 4-1 shots. And it was just pure, beautiful punch combination. I don't even know what happened to that guy, Kitro. But man, I remember watching Paul Mendes on ESPN, and I was like, damn. And for a while, I didn't even see him fought. What is that?
What are you guys talking about?
That was Speed.
Yeah, well, what's going on? There's a back.
Yeah, it's you, Speed.
But what's it sound like?
I don't know what it is.
It should sound like a person washing dishes in the.
It sounds bad.
There's like some kind of like a monster creeping through the sounds. Or what's it sound like?
Then mute yourself, bro.
But what's it sound like though? Now I'm curious. I want to know what's it sound like.
I don't care what it sounds like. Shut up.
Okay. Anyways, so what you just stated, the homie Ricky. Wait, what?
Mute him. There
Doesn't
we go.
Sound better?
Wait.
Doesn't it just sound better, Drew?
Yeah.
Dude, God.
Way better.
Wait, you're muting me, bro?
No,
yeah, dude. I'm trying to talk here, dude.
You already said your piece. You ain't added nothing of value. No, last thing I was going to say, with everything that you just stated, maybe guess what? Maybe they should focus more on defense.
No, they should focus on power.
What you just said, they got early this. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Or on power.
Wait. The best way that Ruben Villa can look would be a Lomachenko. Okay?
Yeah.
That would be the best way. Ruben Villa is a poor man's version of Lomachenko, where he's not as fast, but he uses the same angles. He has the same footwork. That's who Ruben Villa aspires to be, is Lomachenko.
Yeah.
So then what does Lomachenko do? When he uses the angles, he throws punches and bunches of combinations. Head, body, head, vice versa. That's what Ruben Villa needs to do. Now he needs to multiply it by 2 because, he's got the IQ. He's there, bro. He's there. But you need that extra umph because you don't want to get put into the category where you're high risk, low reward. You want to be high risk, high reward. And how do you become high reward? Yeah. By getting the fans tuned in. How do you get that? By knockouts or getting stoppages. How do you get that? By being action-packed.
Violence, baby.
High risk, high reward. Guess what? Even then, that might not be enough because look at old boy and David Benavidez. He's high risk, not even high reward, but he's been on pay-per-view. He gets the knockouts, and even then, you might not get it. So you have to do more, and that's what I'm saying with Ruben. Not just inside the boxing. You're doing great inside, but you got to do it outside. You got to reach out to not just your fan base from in or around your area. You got to get that appeal, man. Or else guys like.
Last thing I want to say before I go mountain biking, guys. Last thing I want to say before I go mountain biking is this. Do you guys then see my point? That it might be a blessing in disguise that Lopez may move on. Because this is what his exact words, well, not his exact words, but this is exactly what he stated. He says that he wants only unifications. So that means anybody that holds the belt at 126 is a possible fight, or he's moving on to 130 to face the champion of Oscar Valdez versus Liam Wilson. So my question is, Do you guys see my point that it might be a blessing in disguise that he does not have to possibly fight that guy? And secondly, let's just wrap it up. Can
Not
Ruben
me.
Villa become a champion at 126? Yes or no?
That, yes, I now see your point from this aspect. I didn't really agree with your initial point, which was the blessing in disguise that Venados got in that much better that he would, destroy Ruben. But this point, in terms of a political standpoint, in terms of knowing the business at play, where Venados already giving us the leak to the script that he's gonna move up and fight the winner of Liam Smith and Oscar Valdez, and he's not gonna fight Ruben. So what will happen is Top Rank will leave the IBF, vacant, and Ruben will be able to swoop it up and keep that belt in house, and Ruben will become a IBF champion. So yeah, it could be a blessing in disguise for Ruben. And the question now lingers is this: who is in the IBF sanctioning body, top five, top 10 fighters for that belt? If
Shh.
another
Run
would
it,
lose.
Drew. Check it out, Drew.
Yeah, I'll check it out right now. Let me see.
Wow. Wow. Well, he's
That
getting
does seem
distracted.
logical. And that might be
Yeah.
the only way by vacancy that Ruben, because of the, not politics, but just the business aspect and the high
Okay.
risk and reward that he brings to the table, who are the top fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So I'm looking at the rankings. I mean, there's a lot of dudes that are in between him that are ranked a lot higher because you got Bruce Carrington, man, that's in the way. Uh, I think Bruce
Shh.
Carrington is another player that we forgot about, that I forgot about right now, honestly, and is on top rank, bro. So, I mean, there's a lot of dudes that are waiting that are and to be a world champion, bro. And Shushu's actually in a better position than Ruben, really, to become a world champion. So, uh, Venalo's ducking a whole lot of smoke right now. He's ducking a whole lot of
Well,
smoke. He
check
knows
this
what's
out.
up right now, and that's why he's moving up.
I just
What happened?
found that information. So the IBF, they do have Ruben Villa in the number 10th spot. The 9 fighters ahead of him
Mm.
is number 9, Brandon Benitez, number 8, Jordan Gill, 7, Jonathan Lopez, 6, Hector Sosa, 5, Tomoki Kameda, number 4, Luis Nunez, number 3, Arnold Kagai, Ukrainian fighter, number 2, Lerado Dlamini, South Africa, and then number 1, Rhea Abe, who just lost. So it looks to be that is going to be the play how Ruben Villa would become a champion. And honestly, I don't know any of those names of those 9 fighters. Do you guys know any of
Yeah.
those that I mentioned?
No. No,
Yeah,
none of them
me neither.
look familiar to me, man.
I mean, I know the
Yeah.
names.
So I
Like,
mean,
I've heard of what was his name? What did I state it?
shit, my phone's dying.
Like Kamen Guy or something, and then Tanika. I know I've heard of the names, but I don't think I've ever watched them. Like Arnold Kagai and Tomoki Kameda. I've heard of these names, but I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever seen them fight.
Yeah, but I've heard him for years, and
Yeah,
and I'm sure that
exactly.
we've even seen him fight. I'm sure we have, homie. But
Yeah,
but it's because the IBF is that one organization that is more respected around the world.
yeah.
So it's like because of that
Mhm.
fact, they we do have a lot of foreign fighters. Not to discredit them, but it just only shows the ignorance of the American boxing fans like ourselves that do get. Uh, to ignore fighters from abroad because we have so many fighters here, right? Um, but but
Actually,
but
correction. I do
mhm.
know one of their fighters, and he's number 4, and his name is Luis Reynaldo Nunez. I remember he's a Dominican Republic fighter, and I remember him fighting an undefeated Mexican named Javier Fierro. He was this Mexican with neck tats, and they fought on HBO. I mean Showtime. This kid at the time was like 18
Mm.
years old, and he was rangy and long. And Luis Nunez is trained by Rosier. And I remember that fight. Man, if Ruben is to fight him, bro, I think Nunez is gonna beat him, bro.
Really, I'm
Wow.
looking right now. I'm looking right
Man.
now. Yeah, that's the thing. He's in a tough division, man, and it just the they're really trying to push for Ruben to become a world champion. It's just there's that guy that you just named, and for me, it's Shushu. And I'm like, Shushu is just another big name, bro. Like, and he gets sellouts. He's from Brooklyn. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna be extremely hard for Ruben. Not extremely, but it's gonna be hard for Ruben. But I think if they set him up right, for a vacant title, he can at
Uh-huh.
least become he can at least become a one-time world champion. Like
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least that's
no,
for me. I'd be like one of the world champion. That's the
yeah.
first ever world champion to come out of Salinas, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of pride to hold in that.
Yeah, and Ruben Villa is an incredible individual, incredible athlete. I do think he does have what it takes to become a champion. I do not approve of Top Rank starting his career or his managers. I'm not too sure what's going on there. But just to end that part of the conversation, because it's always very interesting when you can speak to these fighters. We might want to interview Mr. Ruben Villa sometime soon to ask him about all of these things. And in fact, I did want to state, gentlemen, that in the last event, in the last amateur event that I was privy to, I did make some connections with some of the USA boxing, uh, 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 the players. I was able to connect with a couple of the judges, so I
You're gonna
offered
become a
them.
judge.
No, but I did get their contact information and asked them if they would be
Oh, nice.
willing to explain to
Do
us
it.
how running takes place. Yeah, say it. So I have these things. So I'm gonna set it up for probably a couple of weeks, out from today's date. If you guys are down for it, we do have a gentleman named Mr. Zeke. He runs a gym, and I believe in the city of in the town really of Hollister, California, and he is also a judge for USA Boxing in the Central California region. I'm gonna try to pick his brain regarding some of the fights, and just have fun. Let's just see what the differences are between the amateur circuit and the more professional ones. But what I'm trying to say is this: from this moment forward, we're gonna start growing, we're going to start making more moves. We're going to start bringing on more people. I'm actually trying to get in contact with this one man that I've been having a conversation with about maybe bringing on Luis Alberto Lopez El Venado for an interview. You didn't think that was possible, right? But just letting you know
Who?
that that's
How'd you
I
get
can't
that?
say. I can't say.
You
I
can't tell
can't
the
say.
sources.
I cannot say, but I just know that this person approached
Oh,
me and he
oh,
threw
nice.
that out there, and I
That's
said,
cool.
"Well, I may be interested." So,
Cool.
and talking to the gentleman. So, anyways, going back, let's just move on to the next topic of conversation that I'd like to ask you guys what you guys think in light of what El Venado Lopez just stated. If he faces Oscar Valdez or Liam Wilson, whoever wins, what happens there?
I mean, I think Luis Venado Lopez is like Emmanuel Navarrete, except
Yeah.
Navarrete is very crafty and he's rangier. So what the problems that Valdez was having in reaching Navarrete and getting around his jab, Venado doesn't throw jabs. He throws power punches. I think Valdez will actually beat Lopez. I know he has more wear and tear and he's been in more wars, but the problems that he was having, because look, believe it or not, Navarrete is very slick and he can box from the outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at his defense. It's awkward, but he has like a little shoulder roll and he's pretty slick. He don't get really hit flush. And then also his skin, as he said it himself, he has piel de burro. It's tough Aztec skin. And Venado Lopez being lighter skin, he does blemish like Oscar Valdez. So I think Valdez will have a much more easier time finding and hitting Venado, but he might win, but I would have to favor Venado, man, just because you gotta, respect his game. And yeah, man, he's a tough dude, man. He's tough. That's a good fight, but I don't know if Oscar Valdez beats Liam Wilson because Liam Wilson is like 5'11". I would have to see how Valdez
Wow.
works his game plan, but I don't know, man. That's a little tough, tricky fight. I gotta give Liam Wilson a lot of respect. He's the only one that probably beat Navarrete. I think they gave Navarrete like 15 seconds to recover. Should have been stopped, but nevertheless, We'll
Hmm.
see. I think that Leon Wilson kid is from Australia, and those Australians right now, they have a good little craft of fighters that are coming across the pond, and if they're coming over, it's because they got the goods. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
we'll see. But on that note, man, I want to make up. I want another video. Let's talk about Ryan Garcia. Um,
Is
you
Ryan
said,
Garcia, the devil worshiper, huh?
man, dude, you said that you were gonna, do some other stuff, but yeah, you can go on live later on. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, Ryan Garcia right now, man, he's losing it, man, and I think he's doing it on purpose to get out of this fight. And
I'm the one who called it. I'm the one who called it. I told you
I
it's gonna
called
be
it,
Devin
bro.
Haney.
Yeah, he
I
called
called
it.
that.
No,
What are
he
you talking
didn't.
about? I man, what I said. He's fighting Arnold Barbosa next. Devin Haney is fighting Arnold Barbosa. That's what I said.
Before all of this, when I was telling you that he was smoking weed on his nose and he had the XX Tentacion album cover, I told you that he was like, they're not gonna. That's why when Devin's like, bro, I'm not taking this fight serious because it's not gonna happen. And the fact that they're already releasing out the information that Arnold Barbosa might be the last minute replacement already lets me know that's the play. And Devin is already prepared for it. And with this whole thing that's going on with Ryan, bro, like, what are you doing? Like at the end of the day, it's like, man, that dude's a mess, And the thing is, it's happening in time, in moment when he's young. Whereas when it was happening to Oscar, he was already post retirement.
Hmm.
And Ryan, it's happening right now where he's like very cryptic and it looks like he's being influenced by these rappers, man. He's got XX Tentacion, blowing out weed from his nose, album cover. He's fucking rocking with Trippy Red and leaking out Baphomet scripts. Like, bro, what the fuck are you doing, bro? You're supposed to be this Christian dude, and then he can get the leeway of be like, oh, my phone was hacked. Bro, your phone is not hacked. It is you being bipolar or whatever it is that's going and just onto some Illuminati shit. Like, what you think you wearing that white tuxedo and bringing out chicks in red dresses? You think that was what do you think that is, bro? That's the devil worshiping colors, bro. Like,
Yeah, I'm not impressed, guys.
Yeah, no,
I'm not impressed. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. But we'll talk about it in the next live because I do want to have fun. I don't know what's going on. It'll give me some, but I do think it's like this, guys. Um, I'm not even gonna comment. But I will say this.
man, it's like it's not even sad because it's like, bro, like he's such a phony kid, bro. Like it's crazy because look, if I'm religious and I'm battling through alcoholism and drugs, you know what I'm saying? One of the things is I'm not gonna be openly about it and be like everyone here's done drugs. No, of course we have. But the thing is, you're giving this representation that you're trying to be a clean athlete, and then all of a sudden that your flaws, but you're still how do you explain it? Like brash about it. Like, no, I'm trying to get clean. I'm trying to, but this temptation is still overcoming me. No, that's not like his story of repent. It's more like, hey, I do drugs and so what? You guys do too. But if I go to church on Sunday, knowing that I just did blow for Monday through Saturday, but if I go to Sunday, I'm church, I'm good. I'm solved. That's not how it works,
yeah,
bro. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But anyway, that's
Yeah.
how Ryan is right now. And it's like, nah, dude. It's like,
It's crazy,
man,
bro.
like, and it's crazy because like he has some moments where he's like telling like his publicist like, hey, the tickets are very expensive, people can't afford this, and then he starts buying people tickets or helping them out. I'm like, that's cool, that's how you build relationships. But then you do this funky stuff and it's like, bro, like,
And do
Yeah,
you mind, homie Ricky? Are you in a hurry? I just wanted to bring up one last thing that I wanted to talk about. I'm sure that you guys probably did not watch these fights because Top Rank really took the fight at night to last night. But there was some
as long as you
uh
repent.
yeah. Yeah, no, so uh, uh we had most valuable promotions. The boxing promotional company ran by Jake Paul, they had an event in the island of Puerto Rico where Jake Paul is a resident of. He has a big mansion over there. He's obviously courting the favoritism of the Boricuas, and he's the one who opened up the doors for notoriety and attention for Miss Amanda Serrano, one of the best, if not the best, fighter up there with Katie Taylor and Clarissa Shields in boxing's history, right? Probably the third best fighter from Puerto Rico in any sex, right? After Wilfredo and Miguel Cotto in Trinidad, well, probably the fourth, right? But he had an event last night where he was exhibiting a lot of the local Puerto Rican fighters. They had a couple of up and comers, a couple of guys that had health concerns that took him out a couple of years out, and of course Miss Amanda Serrano. Now, if you guys don't know this, Miss Amanda Serrano did not get to fight. Last minute in the back room, the doctor did one last medical clearance and she didn't pass. Something having to do with her eye. I don't think that's a surprise. I don't think that's a last minute kind of thing. Somebody should have noticed beforehand whatever it is that was so serious as to cancel her bout last minute. Should have been, something somebody would have been privy to priorly. But there was a fighter, Jonathan Bomba Gonzalez, 108 pound fighter. I know that that's in one of those crazy old weight classes like Bam Bam Rodriguez and Sonny Edwards. I think he might come down to fight those kind of fighters. And if it wasn't for him taking on Rene Alvarado, no, Rene Rosario, if I'm not mistaken, then that fight card would have been a bust because
It is a bust. She was the main event. Ain't
no,
nobody
but not
care
only
about
that.
seeing Jake Paul knock out a 40-year-old in one round.
No, but
Yeah.
homie Ricky, that was not only it. I mean, look, he put up this up and comer
It was
Puerto
a
Rican
bust
young girl.
where
Yeah,
they're going to refund the people's tickets.
exactly. It was well, actually, that's the only good thing he did, right? Because that was actually you've never seen that before. But he had this fighter that had a record of 28 wins, 4 losses, taking a guy that had 20 wins and 1 loss. He was a Rastafarian that he has to have been the worst fighter I've ever seen. He's never been able to throw a punch technically sound. He was slapping everything. He wasn't throwing with any kind of defining power. He was just like slapping and tapping and everything. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never seen anybody do that. A Rastafarian probably just got out the airplane smoking a big old blunt and he was going to fight a former champion. And then we had this up and comer 115-pound fighter who used to be a prior MMA fighter from the island of Puerto Rico. She fought a short, overweight Mexican. Like, where do you find these guys? And
Yeah.
then of course, Mr. Serrano canceled, and Jake Paul beat the opponent in 1 round.
What a shit show.
It was a shit show. And what I'm trying to say is this:
That's the zone for you.
no. The zone is just look.
One.
The zone is a
Bro.
venue. The zone is a channel, guys. Let's not blame the zone. The zone is the
Those
same
are
thing as
broadcasters.
Amazon. Yeah, no. The zone opens up doors for people to put up events, right? That's it. It was Jake Paul's opportunity to demonstrate his matchmaking skills, and this is what I took from that event. In the effort to get the Puerto Ricans to love him, he put up a lot of fighters with the softest of all touches in order for the Puerto Ricans to win. And here's the thing that I disagree with. Puerto Ricans are some of the greatest fighters in the history of the sport. They don't need kid gloves. They don't need you to treat them like little babies. All you have to do is give them an opportunity and they will exploit that. But if you put on simple little fights like that, you're not doing them favors. You're making
Yeah,
them
no.
look comfortable and spoiled.
Yeah, look, I think Jay kind of he wasn't prepared for this outcome as far as like Serrano. I know that the Pitufo fight, that dude you're talking about, I do not know how the hell that happened. Like, how did he even get a chance to even fight that dude? Bro, like he was probably hoping to just give him a good shot so he can lay down,
You
so
saw it.
everyone
You
can
saw that
blast him.
fight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think he should. I think he should have just been like. I think they should have just. I don't know if he was that. He looks like a late replacement fight. Like something happened, bro. Like something happened because he did not belong in the ring with him. And I hope it wasn't because of the Serrano outcome. But um, yeah, it's just messed up, man. I think Jake Paul. It
You're
all
dealing
falls
with
under.
misfit boxers, bro.
Yeah, and that's probably where he got him from. And got him at a low budget and got him in and just, you know, like he's budgeting all these fighters into one card just to have some big names in it. And it's like, bro, you're supposed to have some backup fighters. Like for example, I seen Ruben at some fights last week, and
Mhm.
come to find out he was the next man up to fight. I forget who, but in case that fell through, Ruben would have been in and fought. Fuck, I'm trying to find out who he fought. He was in Vegas like 2 weeks ago, I think, but I'm pretty sure he was the backup fighter to fight somebody big, you know.
All right,
So
man. We
yeah.
deviated.
Hey, does anybody want to come with me to Fresno to catch the the Golden Gloves?
Nah, man, I'm taking a massive dookie, and it's gonna take me about 2 weeks to get a Fresno. So impossible. It's a I don't know, man, 45-mile-an-hour poop. Not joking. Look, man. On that note, no, man. Have a good time.
All
On that
right.
bike ride. We'll go live later on. We'll talk about Ryan Garcia if you guys
I
want.
might I might go to Fresno to bring back footage, guys.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool, actually, man.
Yeah.
When's that happening?
It's right now. It was the first round. It was yesterday, and today is the ending of it. And it's not outside, so it's going to be in an enclosed venue. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I don't know, man. Probably not today, but sounds pretty cool. Disciple 060 goes, God damn, you may need stitches to hold it back together. Yeah,
I know.
Nah, man. On that note, man, thank you guys for tuning in. Happy Sunday, man. And
Yeah, happy Sunday.
I'll see you guys on the next one.
Enjoy this beautiful day of the Lord.
Later, guys.
All right, man. Peace.
Peace.